Greetings, friends. I'm AK.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
the Chainsaw Girls. On today's episode, oh boy, this is a big one. This might be our first blockbuster film that we're covering.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous.
I always get a little nervous whenever we cover big movies that have such a big following that people have already gone so in depth into this movie.
No, 100%. Should we tell them what it is?
Probably.
Okay, we are covering 1975's Jaws.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the sweet display in the background. We have figures. We have Jaws on VHS that you found.
I did. I know. I was so excited when I found it. I got it at the Buffalo Horror Garage Sale. Shout out to them. They're awesome.
I want to go so bad.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go in November.
We're going.
It's going to be awesome. I think we might even have a table. So very excited about that.
Just maybe. Keep your eyes peeled.
Keep them. Ew, I hate that expression.
Oh, sorry.
Keep them peeled.
Yeah, that sounds painful.
I'm like, what are you using? A lemon baller? Like, how are you peeling them?
A lemon baller?
Yeah, like scoop them out.
Oh, never mind. That's a different movie. Okay, so at the time of this recording, we watched this on YouTube TV.
Yes, it is on YouTube TV.
I didn't see it streaming anywhere else, really for free.
No, I don't think so. If you don't have YouTube TV, you probably have to rent it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should I read the IMDb?
Please do.
Okay, here we go. When a massive killer shark unleashes chaos on a beach community off Long Island, it's up to a local sheriff, a marine biologist, and an old seafarer to hunt the beast down.
Seafarer, I think?
Seafarer. You guys know. Sometimes my reading is not top tier.
Honestly, I could be wrong too. I'm not well versed in the sea lingo.
No, me neither. And we talked about this. Anytime there's water, like we're both just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have not watched this movie since I was a child.
Okay.
And when I'm watching it back, I don't think that I saw the whole movie. A lot of you already know that I was not allowed to watch horror movies when I was a kid.
Right.
So when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, I might have just seen like the first half and maybe they changed the channel when shit started to get real, because I don't remember all of the gore toward the end and some of the really crazy scenes that happen.
Yeah, I mean, this was my introduction to horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Jaws has a very special place in my heart.
And how old were you?
I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of my dad's favorite movies.
Aww.
And he put me down in front of the TV and was like, we're watching Jaws. And it definitely traumatized me. I don't fuck with water.
Yeah.
I don't go in the ocean. I don't even like going in lakes.
Yeah.
I used to be afraid of even swimming pools that a shark was going to show up in them.
In the pool?
Like in the pool, dude. Yeah.
Oh
I've always been afraid of them. Obviously, this is why.
Yeah.
And I, as an adult watching it, have mixed feelings on the movie. I think it's a fantastic, I mean, easily one of the best movies ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. And it was interesting to go back and watch it as an adult. I think I had seen it maybe like 20 years ago. Like, it'd been a really long time since I rewatched it. And I have a much better understanding of what was going on, like the themes in the movie that I definitely didn't understand as a child.
No.
Yeah.
No, like you're not paying attention to what the mayor's ulterior motives are when you're 6.
Not at all. Like, no clue. I thought like Quint was so boring.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was going to say I have a confession.
Yeah.
When we were going into this loop, like I was so down to cover Jaws, but there was a part of me that was like, isn't Jaws kind of boring? Only because I never saw the whole thing. So I was like, is this movie kind of slow? Right. And then when I watched it back, I was like, I was so into it.
Dude, it is so fucking good.
Yes. And for a 2-hour movie to keep my attention like that, it flowed well. You're invested. You want to see what's going to happen. There's so much chaos throughout this movie. Yeah.
And like the characters feel like real people. Mm-hmm. And I think like it's just... And knowing how difficult it was to film this movie, like this was from everything I've read, all the documentaries I watched, like it was a I mean, this is an understatement, very difficult movie to film.
I'm so interested for you to tell me that part. I didn't research that part because I know you were deep diving into it. No pun intended. So I was like, I'll let her tell me that. But I remember you mentioning that to me, like, oh, this was heavy.
Yes, absolutely. And I do like Jaws. It's such an interesting thing for me because I get like it makes me kind of sad because I miss my dad when I watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and weirdly, I was obsessed. Well, number one, I rented Jaws and Jaws 4 and Jaws 3 over and over as a kid.
Okay.
Like, I used to go to the video store every Saturday, and my
Yeah.
dad would like, yeah, pick whatever you want. And I constantly rented Jaws 4, The Revenge,
Okay.
and Part 3. And I think because in Part 4, have you ever seen Part 4?
If I have, I don't recall any of the sequels.
Dude, what we gotta cover it one day. Like Jaws is in the movie. Like he pops out of the water like over and over. He's in it so much.
Okay.
And he's like targeting the family.
Because they know what the moneymaker is, especially by that point. They're like, okay, I mean, he's the main attraction. We're not going to build this for 45 minutes or whatever they do in this first one.
Right. Well, and they had to in this first one because
Right.
Bruce didn't work.
Yeah.
They had 3 mechanical sharks. They named him Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer, and they didn't work.
Yeah.
Because like the salt water was getting into the mechanics of the shark, and it was like, and filming was such a pain in the ass because they would go for the shot and then the shark wouldn't work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I read that they tested him in fresh water, and then once they put him in salt water, now the salt is eroding the mechanics, and they're like, oops.
Yeah. And I mean, when you see the movie, like it worked in their favor, obviously, because not seeing the shark throughout the movie makes him scarier.
I was gonna say, I feel like I thought they did that intentionally. That
Yeah.
part.
No, dude, it's crazy. And this was the first film ever shot on the actual ocean.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
They were
didn't know
like
that.
they were like, let's shoot on the ocean. That's a great idea. Bad idea. Huge bad idea.
You mean on the wild, rampant ocean that does whatever it wants and has living creatures in it, and they are also unpredictable?
Dude, yes. Like,
Okay,
I
let's
think
do it.
at one point, like the cameras like fell into the water and sunk.
Yeah.
Like all kinds of crazy shit happened. You know, and like to get Bruce to work in the water, they had built this like huge kind of like rail system under the water, like 30 feet down or something like that.
What?
And I don't even think it ended up like working properly.
That is wild.
Yeah, and they went like way over. Like they were supposed to shoot for like 60 days and they ended up shooting like 100+ days or something crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I think a very trying film to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you I mean, we mentioned in our intro episode how we don't really fuck with water like that. For me, it's more lakes, and I think it's anything that feels a little more stagnant. It freaks me out because I always think of brain eating amoebas.
Oh yeah, me too.
I know we talked about that before in plenty of episodes that have lakes, but
Yeah.
it's funny because we're both like, yeah, I don't mess with water. I'm not getting in the water. And then literally I go from I don't want to go in the water to I let my friends peer pressure me into cage-free diving with sharks in Hawaii.
Are you fucking serious?
Did I not tell you that?
No.
About cage-free diving with sharks?
There's
You're like, I need a moment. Okay, so I was in Hawaii, and shout out to one of my close friends, Jamie Senegal, fellow wrestler, who was in Hawaii with me for a show, and she had done it before. And she was like, you need to come with me. You don't go in a cage. We're going to get to the cages in a minute because they also use a cage in this movie, and I have something to say about the cages. We went cage-free, and the type of sharks that we're snorkeling to see, well, some people can dive. I was not diving because I can't. I'll drown. The sharks that we were seeing were Galapagos and tiger sharks, which are considered to be less aggressive, and they're smaller. So they're not what you're thinking. It's definitely not the size of Jaws, which also was not proportionate to what a typical great white looks like.
Absolutely.
Which we can get into that more later as well. But I am also not a strong swimmer. Yet for some reason, because my friend had already done it, I was like, okay, girl, yeah, sure, whatever. And I don't know, I was just like, okay, we're in Hawaii. I feel like I have to, when in Rome, or in this case, when in Hawaii. And I don't know, I was just feeling it that day. I don't know. And
feeling what?
Adventurous. I don't know. I was like,
Eaten.
you know what?
I was feeling like lunch.
If I die, I die. What's gonna happen? You know? But my dumb ass. So I was like the only one using a floaty. So everyone else is like going in there. They're like diving down to get like close to the sharks to see them. You have to stay a certain distance away from them, of course.
Makes sense.
Out of, being ethical and respectful of wildlife. But I was holding on to a rope on the side of the boat. Also, our boat almost didn't leave because there was a storm coming in and the waters were so rough. Yet we still went out. I know. This is like your nightmare.
I know, it really is.
I can't believe that I did this when I'm telling this story.
Yeah.
This is something that if someone told me, I'd be like, no, absolutely no. But in the moment, I was just like, I don't care. Like, whatever. Let's just do it. And I was holding onto a rope on the side of the boat. And I mean, I was getting slammed into the side of the boat. Like, it was whooping my ass. Jamie is just having the best time. She got like videos of her diving with her like fins on, like around the sharks and stuff. Not like that close, but
Yeah.
you can see him in the distance. And I'm just like getting slammed. I'm getting fucking wrecked on the shore. Or not the shore, on the surface because I can barely swim and the waters are so rough. I'm like, I'm having a great time. But I was just happy I didn't get eaten. And then I could say that I did it. And that tour also taught us so much about sharks and how they actually live and how they're not naturally aggressive toward humans.
I know.
And so we'll get into more of that as well because this movie definitely
the deep diving I did on sharks.
Yeah.
And like the amount of tears I shed like researching and watching like documentaries and stuff. I cannot believe you did that. You could not fucking pay me to get in the water with sharks. First of all, I wouldn't even go in the ocean, period. But the fact that you were like, yeah, I'll just
You know what it is?
Fucking way, dude.
I'm a spontaneous person. That's one of my downfalls is that if you told me, hey, next week we're gonna go cage free diving with sharks, I'd be like, no, the fuck we're not.
But on the spot, you're like,
but when it's on the spot, hey, do you want to go do this right now? I'm like, fuck it, let's go. I don't have time to think about it. That's my problem.
Sometimes I wish I had a little bit of like loosey goosey in me, but I'm so like. No, I would just be like, you guys have a good time.
The key to the story or the moral of the story is just don't plan anything in advance with me.
Okay, that's fair.
Ask me the day of, hey, you want to go do this? I'll be like, sure, let's go.
I actually know that about you. Yeah. That you'd be down. Like I shouldn't plan it out, but like if I asked you in the moment, you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Jaws had a $9 million budget and it grossed $476.5 million. It was the first movie. One, it was the first blockbuster. That's a big deal. Summer blockbuster. It was also the first movie to have a 30-second TV trailer.
Oh.
Yeah, so TV trailers weren't like a thing back then.
Wow. Did we mention this was 1975? If
yes.
not, it was 1975.
1975. Yep, exactly. And it was obviously directed by Steven Spielberg, who was like 27 at the time.
Wow.
Very, very young, very new director.
Don't 27-year-olds look like babies to you now?
Oh, yes. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
Like what were we talking about? Like how young can you date? Oh. I'm 38, so how young can I date? Yeah. That's the question I was asking her. And we're like, maybe 28, 29, 30. 31, and even then, 35, I'm like, I feel like we need to add some age onto that.
But then you forget, like, oh, wait, that is an adult. Like, they're creating whole ass, like, blockbuster hits.
Yeah, but I don't know. This seems young to me.
It does.
It does, right? And it was written by Peter Benchley and Carl Galletti. And it's based off of the novel by Peter Benchley, which was actually his very first novel, was Jaws. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What a way to start.
Yes. And the cinematographer was Bill Butler, who I feel like it's important to mention him because if it wasn't for him, they would probably not have been able to film. Like he was responsible for them being able to film on the ocean in salt water. He was just on top of his shit.
Wow.
He even like invented this contraption so that they could actually film. It's called a Panavision spray deflector. That's what they called it.
Okay.
And it was like a camera raft so that they could get those Jaws perspective shots.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then another important person I feel is the composer John Williams. He composed the classic like dun dun dun, which Spielberg at first was like, "Oh, I don't like this."
He's like lame.
Kind of, yeah. And then obviously it turned out to be iconic and recreated in multiple movies and TV shows and all that shit. So, any hoogly boos. Shall we get into it?
I was gonna say we haven't even gotten into the movie yet. There's so much to talk about. You could dive so much deeper. I mean, we're gonna keep using that pun, but
there is a lot. There's a lot to talk about. I do want to talk about sharks at one point for sure because my goodness, the stuff about the great whites, I was dying.
Yeah, we have so many notes. But also we have great references for you if you do want to go even deeper because there are like entire podcasts, entire websites dedicated to this movie.
Absolutely. There's a really good documentary on Shudder too called Sharksploitation that I got a lot of information from and shed a lot of tears watching. Oh. But a really good one if you're looking for more information on sharks in film.
Yeah. All right. So
let's dive into it.
We start at a bonfire on the beach.
Hold on. Oh. We need the opening credit in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We start underwater.
Yeah, we do.
Right? And then we see Jaws on the
Yes,
screen.
yes.
I don't know. I love the opening.
Yeah,
stuff.
I love a good title card. You're right. You're right.
It's good, right? Especially for 1975.
Oh yeah.
I think it's great. Okay, you're right. Yes, we're on the beach.
We're
It's
on-
nighttime.
We're on the beach.
The only time that we like the beach at nighttime.
Yes, when you're not frying in the sun.
That's right. We're a group of teenagers are chilling, drinking, smoking, whatever. They're having a good time on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a boy starts flirting with a girl named Chrissy.
Oh, yes, Chrissy.
Chrissy starts running down the beach.
Dude.
She's like, follow me.
And she starts stripping as she's running. I could never.
No, she is running titties out at one point. I feel like we are gonna sidetrack so much, but I don't care. I don't care. Titties out, and like, as someone who doesn't even have as big of, a chest as she does, I could never. I'd be running with the one arm, like holding them. It hurts.
It would hurt. Yeah,
and
I agree.
hers were just like, it's like from the side, from the back. You don't like see them.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my gosh, no, that would hurt.
No, for real. And she's also tossing her clothes.
Yes.
I could never. Like, I would take it all off and fold it all and
Yeah.
like put it in a nice pile.
And put it on a blanket, not directly on the sand.
No way. No, we talked about this and I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
We are not about that sand life.
But, she's being spontaneous. So I don't know, maybe in the moment I would. But
Yeah, that's true.
But she is telling him to keep up with her, and he cannot really
No,
keep
he's
up.
hammered. He's hammered.
Yes, he's very
like
drunk.
he's like tripping. He's like trying to get his clothes off, but he's like not successful.
Yeah. And so, she is swimming in the water, skinny dipping.
Dude, she just jumps right into the ocean. It's like dusk.
Yeah.
Number one, not only would I be afraid of sharks, but number two, like the ocean is so unpredictable. You can get pulled under with those undertows.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like riptides and stuff?
Yeah, and especially at night.
Yeah,
And you've been drinking?
That's what scares me.
Yeah, no, sister, we're not doing that.
I'm afraid of that more than sharks.
I think I'm afraid of all of it.
But then we get the iconic underwater shot of Chrissy swimming on the surface from the POV of the shark.
My God.
And or what's watching her below, because we don't know yet, right? And on the surface, she's kind of chilling. She's looking for this guy. He's passed out drunk on the beach.
Yeah, he passes out. Mhm.
And we see her get tugged a couple times. This has been recreated so much in movies.
I know, and the first tug, the look,
Ooh.
the look of fear in her eyes when it happens, like it's kind of like
Yeah, like what the fuck was that?
oh, dude, it's scary.
And then she gets tugged again,
Yeah.
and then she starts getting ragdolled on the surface.
Dude, he is pulling her from left to right. She tries to grab onto what are those things called?
Like a buoy?
A buoy, yeah. She tries to grab onto that, but is unsuccessful.
And then she gets dragged under.
He drags her under.
So then we cut to the next morning, and we meet Brody.
Yes, Chief Martin Brody.
Yes, he is waking up with his wife in their home. He's checking on the kids out the window. He mentions that they're in the yard, and she's like, his wife is like, in Amity, you say the yard. And they start kind of going through New York accent type things.
Yeah.
You might understand this better. Were they from a different city? I know he's new.
Yeah,
He's
they're
new.
from. I think they're from New York City.
Okay, so she was kind of making fun of him for losing his accent.
Yeah, so they're
Okay.
so he was an officer in New York City, and they
Right.
had just moved to Amity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Brody gets a call on the house phone. He needs to head to this scene about a missing person, he says.
Mm-hmm.
But he's getting called to the beach.
Yeah.
And yes, this is where he gets in his truck. We see Amity Police Department, where when I was watching it and putting it together, okay, Chief, Police Department, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
He's new here.
Yep.
On the beach, Brody is being called over to a body that was found, which of course we know is the body of Chrissy.
Yes, and the dude, buddy that was with her, is also with Brody, and he's explaining to her, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, she must have just drowned."
Right.
Yeah, just yeah, I don't know, I guess she drowned.
Imagine you're following her into the water. You pass out, you wake up, she's in pieces on the beach. What?
Yeah, that's scary.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So Officer Hendricks is another police officer. He's already there. He's blowing his whistle. He's clearly upset.
Oh, he looks very distraught.
Sitting in the sand, not looking at the body. He's very, very upset.
Yeah.
And Chief Brody is looking at the body, and he doesn't really react. He's either stunned, or I was thinking, based on other things that will happen later, he's seen this before.
Oh,
So-
that's interesting. I thought he was shocked by it.
So something happens in the next scene, and I'll tell you why I think that.
Okay.
But you can just see a pile of hair, maybe netting,
Oh, it's really gross. You see an arm, a hand.
a hand,
Yeah.
and it's covered in crabs.
Crabs, which is so crazy because we were just, when we covered I Know What You Did Last Summer, Ray was like, oh, well, if the body washes up, the crabs and the tiny fish will eat it.
Yeah.
Remember?
And we're like, what?
We're like, I don't get it.
But yeah, but obviously not fast enough. Like that's not a realistic thing to rely on, I guess.
Right.
And then also, yeah, it doesn't just happen. Like still a lot of her was left.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on when the body is found. But yeah, Brody is just kind of staring. And then back at the station, we see Brody typing up his report. And Hendrix and the boy who called in the body, they're looking shocked. They're sitting there with this glass of what I'm assuming is Alka-Seltzer because it's like cloudy. And they're drinking it and they're just very clearly like maybe nauseous, upset, whatever. Brody is just typing away, kind of chilling. He has a glass of Alka-Seltzer on his desk, but it hasn't been touched. So I just feel like these little things are adding up to he is not as phased as these other people. Like he has seen this before. Wherever he came from in New York City, he's from the city. This is a small town, right?
Right.
So I feel like he's like hardened at this point to that type of stuff.
I love that perspective. I hadn't even like pieced that together.
Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't know.
No. I love it. I love it. He gets a call from the medical examiner, and the medical examiner tells him that it was a shark attack.
Right.
With that cause of death was shark attack.
Right.
And so Brody's like, well, we need to close the beach. So I need to go get supplies from the hardware store. Because basically he's looking for like closed beach signs and there aren't any. So he's like, all right, let's go to the hardware store. So he goes to the hardware store. But like as he's getting to the hardware store, townsfolk are like coming into the station and like complaining to him, like, you know, my storefront this and these kids are doing this. And as he's like, you know, he drives to the hardware store, he gets out of the car, people are running at him again, like asking him like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that?
Like everyone,
right? And he's just like, you know, on his, like he's got his task. He's like going in, he gets his stuff. He hands it to his deputy. And I thought this was kind of funny. His deputy, he's like, here, you know, put these signs up, but like, you know, get so-and-so to print it. Polly. Get Polly to print it. Whatever you do, don't print it because he's got terrible handwriting. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah. So I also want to touch on one little thing, and I wanted to shout out a podcast that I listened to. I wasn't able to listen to all the episodes, but I did listen to a few of them. It's called The Jaws Obsession. So the entire podcast is dedicated to proving that Jaws is the greatest movie of all time. So I was like, oh, I got to listen to some of these episodes. And I listened to a couple, and one of them, for example, deep dives into the fact that Brody is always wearing a towel or like some type of towel on his shoulder, and they want to know why. So they were like, the whole episode is about that, and I don't even know that they ever came to a conclusion, but it's more about like, what is your theory? So, for example, in the scene where he's typing, he has a yellow towel on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then Polly, his secretary, comes in and she's like, what have you got on? And then they move on, you know, the dialogue moves on, but it's like, why did she ask him what he has on? And then later on in the movie, he has the same towel. He has a towel like under his jacket. So it's like, why would they put that there every single time? And so I actually think the podcast host theory made a lot of sense. He thinks that because you see Brody putting on like a lot of Old Spice or whatever earlier, or at some point in the movie. So maybe he was using that towel to not smell like decomp or have that smell of decomp in his nose after seeing a body. And then later when it's all that fishy smell.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
He does. He puts it up to his nose.
Yeah. So it's something so small, but like that podcast really, really deep dives into so many little details. So if you are obsessed with Jaws, definitely check them out. It's very interesting. And we'll link all these references in the show notes as well.
For sure. Oh my God. That's so interesting.
Things. Yeah.
No, I love that. We're introduced to a new character here. We are introduced to the mayor, who, by the way, has a very interesting wardrobe.
Yeah, he does. He's a little eccentric.
I think he's like very showboaty in his clothing choices.
He is.
So basically Brody is heading to an island or like just off the island because there are kids doing like laps. They're like practicing fucking swim team or something like that. And he doesn't want kids in the water, obviously.
Right.
So he gets on this like ferry. And the mayor and the medical examiner meet him on the ferry.
Yes, because Hendrix is flapping his gums all around town. He's walking down the street. He's like, hey, mayor, we got to close the beach. So the mayor's like, the fuck?
Yes. And this is a part, like, as a kid, I just didn't understand, like, what the mayor was, like, even talking about.
Right.
Like, you know, as a kid, all I cared about was the shark, obviously. But essentially, the mayor is trying to convince Officer Brody that they don't need to close the beach. That this was probably a boating accident. And Brody's like, well, the medical examiner said that it was a shark attack. And the medical examiner is like, well, gee, Will, actually, it's probably a propeller and da-da-da-da-da.
Now he's changing it.
He's changing it because this is a tourist town. And they
Yes.
make all of their money, or they make a lot of their money during summer, specifically during the 4th of July, like celebration,
Which is coming up.
which is coming up, and tons of people come in and they're on the beach. So closing the beach to the mayor is like a huge no-no.
Right.
And so he's basically convincing Brody, don't close the beach.
Yep. And then after that, we cut to a scene on the beach. So this is either later that day or just another day.
Yeah, I think it's probably the next day. I put it's the next day.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And the beach is full. And Brody is actually on the beach with his family at this point.
He is, and the kids haven't gone in the water yet. The kids,
Right.
his kids are playing on the beach.
Right.
And you can tell he's watching everything.
He's observing. It looks like he's trying really hard to relax and tell himself, like, it's fine. It was just a one-off incident. I'm just going to have a good time. It really sucks when you have a strong intuition about something. Or
Dude.
you know that something should or shouldn't be done. But then someone else is trying to make you feel bad about it. Like, oh, just don't ruin the good time. That's
No.
exactly what's happening.
Dude, it's so true.
Yeah.
And like deep down, you have this like horrible feeling and you're just like grappling with it.
Yeah.
And it's Roy Scheider who plays
Brody.
and he's fantastic.
Yes.
His emotions on his face, like you can really see that he's
Mhm.
struggling so much. And his wife, whose name is Ellen, is played by Lorraine Gary, and I think she is fantastic as well.
I agree.
And you really just get the sense that he's trying to be this like sheriff, this authority figure,
Mhm.
and keep people safe, but it's nearly impossible.
Yeah, he has the other, people with power in that town working against him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we meet little Alex Kintner. It's
Oh,
kind of hard
boy.
to say that last name, but we're going to call him
Kittner.
Alex.
Yeah.
And he's asking his mom, can I please go back out on the water? And she's like, oh, you're pruning, but all right, 10 more minutes. Go ahead. And now we're seeing Brody,
He's observing.
observing.
There's a dog. Dog's playing fetch. Like
Mhm.
everyone's having a good time. People are laughing. Everyone's in the water.
Yep. And Brody's getting very paranoid. Like he hears a girl screaming and he's jumpy, right? And she's
Yes.
just screaming because this boy's picking her up on his shoulders, stuff like that.
Yeah, lots of fake outs. Also, Brody is just getting punished left and right. Like people are coming towards him and asking him for help on this and that and their stores. It's essentially similar to the scene where he's like in the street
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. He has a lot of responsibility in this town and people are looking to him for making everything right. So like it falls all on his shoulders. Meanwhile, the mayor, we'll get to the fucking mayor.
I hate
We'll
the mayor.
get to more of
The
that.
fucking mayor.
But everyone's having a good time and there are a bunch of kids in the water.
Oh my god, and then there's one like there's like it looks like something in the water, but it just ends up being like an old dude with a swimming cap.
Yeah.
And he like walks right over to Brody and he's like talking to him about some shit and the wife is like trying to massage him and like, it's just
Yeah.
like I feel for Brody, man.
Yeah. So then we see that the guy that had his dog in the water starts calling for his dog. Don't worry, we don't know what happened to the dog technically. We don't. But we do see that the dog stick is floating there that he was playing with and the dog don't know where he went. We're just going to leave it at that. But then we get the POV shot underneath the water again, that classic Jaws music. Dun, 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 dun.
Dude.
And you see a shark breach the water a little bit and take Alex, the little boy, down with his raft.
Dude, it is one of the most fucked up things I
This-
have ever seen.
This, besides one thing toward the end that we'll get to, I feel like this stuck with me and I don't know why.
Because it's terrifying.
Well, yes,
It looks like a monster coming out of the water and eating a child.
I think that's what it was. I think it's the fact that you see it from like a little far away. Like
it like jumps up in the air and
Yes.
just like wallops this kid.
it's not just like Chrissy, you see her get pulled under. No, you see it come up and take him down.
And it's a child. This is 1975. This is a little kid.
I wrote that in my notes. I was like, that seems like a real bold move for 1975.
Dude, I will never get on a raft like that. Ever.
The little inflatable raft.
No, because sharks confuse you for a sea lion.
Yeah, so that is actually a real thing. When people are flapping at the surface, they think you're a seal or like a sea lion or something.
Yeah.
It reminds them of prey. They're not necessarily hunting humans, but
Great whites specifically. They're not out to eat people. In fact, great whites, if you get bit by one, they're like, oh shit, this ain't what I was looking for. And they
Yeah.
just usually let you go.
Yeah, but it's the flapping and splashing at the surface a lot of times where they think that you're like an injured seal. So they're like, get that motherfucker.
Yeah, no, for real. Exactly. So yeah, I do not fuck with those. Well, I mean, I don't go in the water, period.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I would never get, and because of this scene specifically.
It gave me chills.
Dude, I rewinded and rewatched it because I was like, whoa. whoa, like it was crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So there's blood everywhere in the water. Also that the water turning red just does something to me. It just like sits
Dude,
real bad in my stomach.
it's terrifying.
Yeah, obviously
Mm-hmm.
panic ensues. Everyone is freaking
Everyone's
out.
freaking.
And Brody's fear came true. The camera zooms in on his face as he realizes what's happening. Oh my gosh, I'm getting chills again.
Yep, it's terrifying. Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, this scene was so heartbreaking too. I don't know if I was just like feeling emotional last night.
Oh no, what the Miss Kittner looking for her
Yes.
kid?
Everyone's coming off out of the water onto the shore. You see a bloody raft wash up, and the mother is running around screaming for Alex. It's heartbreaking.
No, dude, it's awful. It is. It's
Yeah.
very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now we cut to back at the station.
Holy shit.
There is a $3,000 reward, which I did not do the math on how much that would be today, but $3,000 reward posted to anyone who will kill that shark.
Yes, and it was actually her. She's the one.
mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's the one. And it's not so it's like in their like gazette, but basically someone is telling Officer Brody, because Officer Brody is like, this is gonna be like a contest. Like, I don't think this is the way we should do it.
Right.
And then they're like, oh yeah, and it's not just our like town. Like this is in all it's been posted in many different towns.
Right.
So basically meaning all these people from different towns and shit are gonna come to Amity trying to hunt
Right.
the shark.
Yep. And so now they're holding a town hall.
Oh yeah.
They ask Brody if he's going to close the beaches flat out, and he says yes. And I'm thinking like they want the beaches to be closed because of what happened. They were pissed.
They were super pissed. And I want to say also, like, this scene felt really real. And I feel like it's because everyone in it seems like they're real people.
Yeah.
Like the one woman is like, she seems like almost like a reporter. She's like asking him questions. Like it all just seems very real life.
Yeah. What did she say? They're little side conversations. too.
Yes.
I think the woman, if you're talking about the woman in the front row.
Yeah, yeah.
She said something like, someone says something and she goes, I don't think that's very funny at all. Like just little things like that.
Yes, exactly. And the mayor, so Brody's like, yes, we're closing the beach. And the mayor's like, yep, for 24 hours. And Brody's like, that's not what I said.
Yeah,
Like, what?
he says, I didn't agree to that. And then the mayor reiterates, only 24 hours. And you can hear someone in the background go, 24 hours? That's like 3 weeks or 3 days or something. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Like, okay, yeah, but a child just got eaten. This is what's so crazy to me. Like, well, the fact that people would be like, I mean, I get it. Some of these people are business owners, so they don't give a fuck. They just want tourists to come and
Right.
shop and eat and
Right.
whatever. But like people that want to go in the water, you want to go in the water after a little kid just got eaten alive.
Right.
And a woman, even though
They
the
don't
town
know.
folks don't know that, but still, like, nah, it's insane to me.
I know. I think a
It's
lot
insane.
of people just tell themselves what they want to hear. And so they're like, oh, it's just an isolated incident. Now, had they known that also Chrissy's body was found and they thought it was a shark attack, maybe they would have felt differently. But I think this being the first one, they're like, oh, this was just a freak accident.
A little kid got
I know.
You
I
have to
know.
be fucking cracked to
Yeah,
not
I
like
agree.
be totally scared to go in that water.
I agree.
Yeah.
So now everyone's rambling. There's a commotion at this town hall. And then you hear nails on a chalkboard, literally.
Yeah.
And we meet Quint.
Quint. What a character, man.
He is literally scratching his hand down this drawing, which I assume he made.
I'm sure he did.
And it's a very crude drawing because it's of a giant shark eating a person. I'm like, a child just got eaten and you draw that on the chalkboard? That's crazy.
Oh, Quint, man. How would you describe him?
What do they call him? A seafarer. He is like
He's seen some shit.
he's a veteran. We know that.
He's a veteran. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
we'll find that out.
Yep.
He has seen some shit is a great way to put it.
Oh yeah.
And the way he talks, just like, I'll tell you what I do. You know, whatever
Yeah.
he says. It's very like worn down.
Like he's got a tale to tell.
Yes, exactly. And he has experience. Like you just believe whatever he says, he is an expert at that.
He comes across to me very stubborn too.
Oh,
Like as the movie goes on,
absolutely.
he's so stubborn.
Yes.
But he essentially tells them all that like he'll kill the shark.
Yes, but not for $3,000. He
No.
says, I'll find him for $3,000, but I will catch and kill him for $10,000.
Yes.
And-
Exactly. And he says like they have to be quick with it. He also describes the shark like in a way that's like terrifying. Like he's like, he'll swallow you whole.
Oh yeah, he goes through a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like he is telling a tale, just like you said.
Absolutely. He also says, I ain't working with anyone else.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it by myself. I want 10K.
Yep.
And I'll give you the head, I'll give you the fins, I'll give you the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they have closed the beaches.
Mm-hmm.
And we see at dusk a couple of fishermen. They are sticking a giant hook into a roast, like his wife's roast. He's like, my wife's going to wonder where this went. And they toss it into the water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They toss it into the water tied to a tire so they can track it. So we kind of cut back and forth here. Brody is looking through books about sharks. He's studying his ops.
Yeah, he's studying sharks. He's like, you know, kind of, his wife like walks in and she's like, oh, really? Like, you're still reading that? Like, she's, you know, trying to like chill him out a little bit. I think there's a line there, like, you want to get drunk and fool around.
Yeah,
like, it's a cute, like, kind of scene between them where you kind of get a little glimpse in their relationship.
Yeah.
You
Does
know?
he turn her down?
No, he says, oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I
goes,
couldn't
"Oh,
remember what
yeah."
happened. I'm like, damn, if he turned her down to look at all these graphic images of shark attacks, like
He's
that's,
like,
that's kind of, I would be sad. I'd be insulted, but
he's like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And like, they're kind of having this conversation and she mentions that Michael, their son, like loves the new gift that he got, which is a boat.
yes,
And he is outside next to the dock sitting in the boat.
like a little boat,
Like
right?
a little boat. And Brody is like, he needs to get out of the water.
Yeah.
And she initially is like, no, like, you know, he's having fun. Leave him alone. It's fine. It's safe. But then she looks at the shark book that he was looking at and she reads something and she's like, you need to get out of the water. Like,
yeah,
immediately.
did you just hear your father? Get out. She sees a picture of a shark like attacking people or attacking a boat or something.
Exactly.
And also when he's looking through that book, Brody does happen to, as he's flipping the pages, you see a shark with an oxygen tank in its mouth. Just casually. Just throwing that out there. No reason.
I did not catch that. That's a great catch.
Hell yeah. Look at me catching stuff.
We just hell yeah'd at the exact same time.
Hell yeah.
Simpatico. Okay. Anywho, all right, back to the dudes in the rowboat.
Yes. So they're standing on the dock, right?
Yeah, and they get in a rowboat and they're like, first of all, you guys think you're gonna catch Jaws in a rowboat?
Yeah, like what?
And they've got like chum and a huge hook and they're trying to lure Jaws out.
Yeah, and so something does start taking that roast that they threw into the water. You see
boy.
the tire start to go, but it looks like the chain was the chain also tied to the dock or to the boat?
It's tied to the dock, yeah.
Tied to the dock. So whatever has this roast is dragging it away and takes half the dock with it.
Dude, it rips that dock apart and one
Yeah.
of the fishermen falls into the water.
Yes, Charlie. Charlie falls into the water. And so I loved it. I loved how they did this because we still have not seen the shark. And so, but we know that the shark is the one pulling that thing. And so the dock, starts drifting away and then the dock starts coming back toward them. So
Dude.
it's stuck to the shark. I'm getting chills again.
And think about this, okay? That was all due to the fact that they couldn't get the mechanical shark to work.
And it ended up being such a cool, creepy way to build him.
Dude, but think about being on set.
I know.
Think about like, I mean, I have a quote from Steven Spielberg where he says, this wasn't a labor of love for anybody. This was a physically impossible chore and people wanted to go home.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, we're like, wow, it's great. You're so innovative.
Yes, I have another quote for later in the movie having
Yeah.
to do with the same type of thing.
Okay.
But they had to get creative because that fucking shark wouldn't work.
And they did a great job being creative.
And it worked
Yeah.
so much better. But yeah, the dock is like coming towards him and Charlie's like kicking and screaming and his friend is like reaching for him and like just as the dock is getting to him, his friend pulls him out of the water and then the dock just kind of drifts to shore.
Yep. So he made it. He survived. I did not think he was going to make it.
Dude.
So now the next day, there is chaos back at the dock. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So many fishermen are there, just like Brody predicted, trying to catch this shark.
And they're like joking with each other. Like this is like an event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is some type of festival almost.
No, it feels like a dick measuring contest.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're all just like, we're gonna get the shark and we're gonna.
Yeah.
And I feel bad too because they're they've got dogs on their boats too.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, can you leave them at home?
Leave the dogs alone. They're not going to go get this shark for you.
I know, exactly.
Yeah, they end up, we'll get to that in a minute. But so we meet Hooper here.
Oh my God, Hooper. Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss is 26 years old in this.
Yeah, it's so funny because when we were talking about this earlier, I'm like, he looks so young.
I know, and I'm like, he looks, when I was a kid, to me, he looked like he was 40 years old.
Because you're a kid.
I guess, but he does look old to me.
Well, I think it is. I think it's like facial hair of the time and like the way he kind of carries himself at first.
Yeah.
Like he looks a little rugged, but then you know how like you can tell by someone's skin that they're young.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's funny because in my notes I wrote a young Richard Dreyfuss.
And also I want to say too, something that I think makes this movie stand the test of time too, at least for our lead characters, nobody is really dressed to like I don't look at the way they're dressed and I'm like 70s.
Yeah.
Like they're dressed very casually.
Yeah.
And can pass to me some of their outfits, most of their outfits, besides the mayor who like looks crazy. Like a lot of their outfits could be worn today.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't date the movie that way. It was
That's
very
it.
much like, I mean, I don't think fishermen are known for being like at the top of fashion of the time.
No, but
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
but like nobody's wearing like burnt orange.
and like brown and yellow.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It all just seems very, they all just seem like yeah, normal.
Like
Not
neutral.
Neutral.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
would say
word.
neutral.
Mhm,
You could
yeah.
fit in almost any era.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Classic, if you will.
That's it. Okay.
The
anyway.
classic button-up jean shirt. So he had called Brody prior based on their conversation. They talked on the phone and
Mhm.
he's telling Brody, first I should see the remains of the first victim, which we know is Chrissy. And at this point, I don't know who he is. So I'm like, who the fuck is this creep?
He's from the Oceanographic Institute.
Yes.
He does like have a little quip, like when he's walking past all these fishermen, he's like telling them, like, yo, you really shouldn't go out. Like you really blah blah blah. There's too many people in that boat. And then they're like all like fucking with him, and he just turns around and he's like, you're all gonna die. Like,
Yep. They're like, shut up. Like, but don't tell us what to do. We know what we're doing.
yeah.
And I mean, there are dozens of boats, small boats, mind you, on the water. They're doing various strategies to find the shark. So some are lighting explosives.
Oh
and
yeah,
throwing-
somebody has sticks of dynamite.
Yeah, putting them in the water. Like everyone has their own little strategy of how they're gonna catch. Others are chumming. Don't even get me started on chumming, bruh. Like chumming. So if you don't know what chumming is, they're basically taking like blood and guts and whatever sharks would be attracted to and dumping it in the water. Chumming is very unethical and it's illegal in many places. So like if you are gonna go on a tour to go see sharks, for example, you definitely want to make sure you're choosing one that's not chumming, because it fucks up the ecosystem. Is long story short.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Horrible.
not good.
Not good at all. Not good at all. Yeah.
But back at the morgue, I assume they're in the morgue.
Oh my God. So he's wearing like a little like headset, like he's recording himself discussing the autopsy. But when they pull the body parts out of the like freezer, whatever it is, fridge, her body fits in like a tin. Like there's not much left of her to the
Yeah.
point that she fits into like a tin tray.
Yeah.
And when he first sees it, the acting's incredible. He is like, he looks so distraught by it and disturbed, and he goes, can I have a glass of water?
Yeah.
Like that's how in shock he is when he sees the body.
Yeah, this is Hooper. And he, like you said, he's saying what he is seeing. Very scientific about it. So I'm thinking, oh, he has seen a dead body before. But yeah, not one like this.
No, he says all the major organs are missing. He kind of goes on and like discusses what he's looking at. And then he turns to Brody and he's like, did you tell the Coast Guard about this? Like, this is a shark attack.
Yeah. And Brody's like, no, it's a local jurisdiction thing.
Yeah. And also Brody tries to light a cigarette and Hooper's like, can you not light that?
Oh, he gets real tense here. He's just upset at what he's seeing.
Yeah.
I think he's upset that Brody didn't notify the Coast Guard. He is like, he's very educated, he's an oceanographer.
And he loves sharks.
He loves sharks. He's saying words like squalus,
Yeah, he calls them squalus.
which I guess is the word for shark.
For
or
shark.
like some type of shark. I don't know.
Yeah, and he says this isn't just any shark. This is a very large shark.
Right.
And I think he's frustrated that people aren't taking it seriously.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
think about it, he comes in and like all these fishermen are acting like it's a circus.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And so back on the dock, they have caught a shark.
Okay, my notes say this. AK, please take over. You explain it, and then I'm going to tell you the backstory on the shark.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Okay, so they have caught a shark and they have it strung up, similar to how like I don't really know how one strings up a shark, but like if you've ever seen the Jaws photo op at Universal. I don't even know if they still have it. It's the same thing where you can kind of go by his mouth. Anyway, he's strung up. The media is there. He wants to take a picture of the shark up like that with everyone standing around it for the paper. Everyone is excited. Even Brody is like, yes, we got him. They think that we got the shark. You want to go into it now and then I'll.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, again, I have mixed feelings about this movie because for those of you that don't know, I am quite the animal lover. Okay. I like them a little bit more than I like people, a lot more. And obviously I think it's fucking disgusting to like hurt animals in the name of entertainment. I think
Was that a real shark?
that was a real fucking shark that they hunted specifically for this part of the movie.
I did not know that.
There was a couple things that happened. They had hired like shark experts to go and get the shark. It didn't work out, blah, blah, blah. They ended up hiring 2 randos in Florida and they went and hunted this shark and they threw it on ice and they shipped it to, you know, wherever they were shooting.
I
And
think Massachusetts.
on location,
Yeah.
wherever it was, Martha's Vineyard. That's
Yeah.
where they were. Martha's Vineyard is where they shot it. And so by the time the shark got there, it smelled horrible and been like rotting, you know? And it was like, oh fuck. So they hung it up from its tail, right?
Yep.
Its internal organs broke loose and piled up on the back of its throat. So if you were working in close proximity, it just smelled awful.
That's horrible.
But the whole point of me explaining this is
Yeah.
that they killed a beautiful fucking shark who was just living its life for this fucking movie. And it's so hard for me to enjoy it knowing that they did that. And 2, the repercussions from this movie, the effect it had on sharks in general, there are species of sharks that are still endangered because of this movie.
Yeah, I think great whites are one of them.
Great whites are almost extinct.
Yeah.
Almost extinct. The ocean, like the sharks are still recovering off of this movie because people went bananas and started hunting sharks, hunting them for sport. Like, and it's so hard for me to love this movie, but also, and not only that, it sprung like a whole bunch of like obviously people were trying to capitalize on it, and there were more shark movies being made, lower budget shark movies being made. And there was a couple specifically, if you watch the movie Sharksploitation, it's on Shudder, it's a documentary. I don't have the movies in front of me, but there were 2 or 3 of them where they were, oh my God, it's gonna make me cry. There are shots in the movie of them stabbing at sharks, fucking hitting them, killing them, and they're doing it all for film.
And
oh my
it's
God,
real.
it makes me cry. It's so fucking sad.
It's especially lower budget. They're like, well, it's actually cheaper just to do it for real.
It's so like
That's
I mean,
horrible.
just hurting these like beautiful creatures.
Yeah.
For like it makes me so upset. Oh my God, I'm crying.
My mind is blown because I did not know that was a real shark. Even watching the movie, I'm like, oh, nice prop. Like,
I never thought about it either until I started deep diving on it.
And you know what? Now that makes me wonder if the reason Brody kept a towel underneath his jacket is because he wasn't supposed to have it on wardrobe, but because it smelled so fucking bad in all these shots with real fish, because I'm sure there's more of them. They're really on the ocean. That maybe he was trying to hide that towel underneath to give some type of like air freshener, whatever he put on it.
Yeah.
And like maybe it wasn't supposed to be in the movie, so he's trying to hide it. I don't know.
Dude, I mean, yeah, you might be right. It smelled god awful. That shark that they had strung up.
That just blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, pretty horrible.
So
yeah.
Now some of the fishermen are looking at the shark and they're wondering what kind of shark it is, and Hooper chimes in, it's a tiger shark. And so
a beautiful fucking tiger shark.
And I'm assuming that it was an actual tiger shark then. I'm not, that well versed to know all the different types of sharks, but I would imagine that was what it really was. And he's trying to explain that this might not be the shark. There are so many different types of sharks in the water. The odds they got the shark are very slim.
Yes. So they want to like cut. I know at one point they want to cut the shark open.
Yes. And Hooper also says, which to me, this is the most damning evidence. He just looked at the body and he says the bite radius on this shark is different than the wounds on the victim. Hello, you don't have the right shark. So he suggests, yes, let's cut it open, examine the stomach contents, are there people in there? Like, we can check it out.
Right.
Now, the mayor, of course, is not happy about this.
No.
He chimes in and he's like, I don't know if that's necessary. This is not the time or place. He's such a piece of shit. Though he does bring up one good point. He's like, what if the boy's half-eaten body spills all over the dock in front of everyone? And I'm like, okay, that is a good point. But on the other hand, you don't have to do it in front of everyone.
No, exactly. Well, the mayor's just an asshole. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alex's mom approaches. And this is the little boy that was killed and that she has the bounty out for the shark. She approaches Brody like she's coming straight from his funeral. I think she probably was because she's in all black, like black veil and everything. And slaps the shit out of Brody.
Dude, do you want to hear something hilarious?
Yes.
Okay, so the actress, Lee Fierro, I don't even know if she was an actress. She might have just been a local. I can't recall off the top of my head. However, she couldn't fake the slap. So she hit him over and over and over until they actually got the shot.
That's wild.
I know. Because Roy Scheider said that in an interview that she couldn't fake the slap. So yeah, she was whacking him.
What do you mean you couldn't fake the slap? Like,
but if you're not trained,
but
we know that. We know how to do it.
But I'm also thinking, like, with movies, they do angles where they don't even touch each other.
I mean, this was
From
1975.
behind.
Maybe they
Yeah,
were like,
yeah.
let's just get the realism
They
of it.
wanted we need a little method acting in here.
Oh, shit.
I mean, hopefully she didn't hit that hard, but
I don't know.
she's upset because she found out that he knew that whole time that a girl was killed by a shark prior to her son being killed.
Yep.
Meanwhile, poor Brody wanted to close the beach after Chrissy was found, and he doesn't even tell her that. He just takes it.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad because he it's his responsibility. Well, yeah, there's higher ups, but ultimately he's the law.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And so he leaves dejected. He is upset by this, and it seems like that was enough distraction to not have to cut open that shark, like Hooper was suggesting.
Mm-hmm.
So later that night, Hooper shows up at Brody's house during dinner time.
Okay, can I just talk about this scene a little bit before Hooper shows up?
Yeah.
So Michael is sitting at the table with his dad.
Yeah.
And he's mimicking everything he's doing. That was ad-libbed.
Oh, really?
He just started doing it.
His son is so cute.
He just started doing it and they were like, "Oh, roll." And then they caught it.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Isn't that so cute?
It felt like a natural interaction that they're just like, oh, this is character building. Let's include it. And it is.
I know. I loved it. And then finding out that it was like an ad-libbed extra thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was so sweet.
That makes sense too because it's such a small child.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things where I'm like, I wonder if he was that good of an actor or they just happened to catch him. Like later on, he's crying. I'm like, was he just crying?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like,
crying.
film, roll it.
Roll it. But yes, then Hooper shows up. He's got a couple bottles of wine. And you kind of see some rapport building here between the three of them. And this is where we find out how much like Hooper loves sharks. We kind of find out he's a bit of an oddball.
Yeah. He's goofy.
He's a little goofy. Yeah. Like he's just like very passionate about sharks.
Yeah.
Ellen asks him some questions about it. And then he mentions that he's going to the institution for like 12 or 18 months to study sharks. Like he's going on an excursion.
Yeah, 18 months of research at sea on the Aurora.
And he basically tells them like that shark they caught is not Jaws.
Yeah.
It's not it. And you just see Brody pour himself a cup full of wine.
Yeah.
Like in a tall glass.
Yeah, even Hooper is like, do you want to let that breathe? Okay, never mind.
Yep, never mind. Like, and it's like you feel it.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's way in over his head here.
Yeah, he is having a time.
Mm-hmm.
We also find out that Brody is afraid of water and boats. His wife tells Hooper that.
Yep.
That even when they take the ferry, he sits in the car.
Yes, he's afraid of drowning.
Yeah.
And then we also find out that most shark attacks happen in 3 feet of water, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's true, but
yeah, I didn't look up that one, but I can for the extended.
And apparently Jaws is considered a rogue shark. I looked that up. That is not a real thing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's just like made up for the
normally,
movie.
normally they are together when they swim. Right?
Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, but this whole concept of like a rogue shark, they just
Right.
made that up for the film.
Right. A lot of this was embellished or exaggerated for the film, including how Jaws looked.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
we'll get to that when he appears.
For sure. And then he does agree to cut open the shark.
Yeah.
And in my notes it says, "AK, please take over."
Yeah, I figured when you said that shark that was strung up was real, I was like, this other part had to have been real.
I don't know. I didn't research that.
Okay. Well, Brody is also, he says, let's grab a drink and go cut the shark open. And Hooper's like, can we do that? And he's like, I can do anything. Like, I'm the chief. So they go down and Hooper is cutting open the shark and taking out its stomach contents. And they're all, well, both, I should say, clearly affected by the smell. Like Hooper is having a time. Brody has the rag, I think, over his face, or he's just far back enough. I can't remember exactly. And Brody is taking out like other fish. They find a license plate in his stomach, and he's like, "Oh, just as I thought." Like he knows exactly where this shark came from. It came from down south. There's like a Louisiana license plate in its stomach, and he's like, "Just like I thought, this is not the right shark." And so he's still out there, and so they want to go on the water. And Hooper says, "You know, it's a night feeder, so this is when we're going to be able to find him." So they go on a boat. Brody is still drinking, by the way. He has a life jacket on and is holding an entire bottle of wine.
Oh, yes, that's right. He's hammered.
Yeah, he's drunk. He's like rambling.
Yeah.
And they come across eventually an abandoned little, like, I want to say dinghy boat. Is that a thing?
Yeah, a dinghy?
A dinghy.
Yeah, it's like a little shitty boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone with dinghies out there. But yeah, it's a wooden boat and it's just abandoned, floating, and it looks like a chunk was taken out of it.
Dude, it's nighttime too.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. The ocean scares me. The ocean at night scares me a hell of a lot more.
It's just darkness all around you and underneath you.
Dude, like when I was on the Jericho cruise, like I couldn't think that we were on the ocean. Like I had to put it out of my brain.
Yeah.
Because it like really terrified me.
Yeah, I'm terrified to ever go on a cruise.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I'll go dive with sharks. But
I was just gonna say, I'm like, well.
But on a big boat, no. That just seems like chaos. You know what? You know what scared me more than Jaws? Titanic.
Ooh, oh God. We could do an episode on Titanic. Oh my God.
And why it should be a horror movie. So, yeah, they find this boat. Hooper is going to go dive to explore.
Dude, when Hooper's like, I'm going to go check it out, I was like, Hoop, what are you talking about, man?
What do you mean you're going to check it out?
You don't need to check it out. Let's wait till daylight.
But he knows how to scuba dive. And
does he know how to fight a fucking great white shark? My God.
I don't know. But he goes diving. He's exploring this boat. You know, there are holes taken out of the boat. He's getting closer and closer. And then all of a sudden, through one of the holes, a head just floats through with like its eye missing.
Well, first he finds the giant shark tooth.
Yes.
So he pulls out like Jaws' tooth.
Yes.
And then fucking jump scare. When that body popped up, I literally jumped.
Me too.
It was like, oh, and he freaks out too.
Yeah.
He like freaks out and he drops the tooth.
Yes.
And then he like scrambles to the surface.
So the next day, Hooper and Brody are trying to explain to the mayor that they need to close the beach, not just for 24 hours, but they need to close it just permanently or, you know, indefinitely.
And they're like, they're very urgent. They're like talking over each other and they're like really trying to explain quickly, like, no, like we need to close them. And the fucking mayor is like, it's the 4th of July. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he will not close the beach.
And Hooper says, I found a tooth the size of a shot glass. Like, that is not normal for sharks.
Yes, and this is where this is why I was saying we need to talk about the shark tooth, because this is the mayor's like, well, where is it?
Oh my gosh, he keeps going, well, do you have the tooth? I want to punch him in the fucking face.
I want to backhand him so badly.
This is such an accurate depiction of a politician, though.
No, dude, it is on the money.
Like, okay, just ignore the whole point, focus on a random small detail, and try to use that to discredit the person.
Oh my God, it made me so angry. He's just like gaslighting them. I was like,
they keep telling him they're trying to show him why this is such an urgent matter, and he keeps going, well, you don't have the tooth. Like, oh my gosh.
I know. Eventually he does say, like, you can do whatever you want to get rid of the shark, because Brody needs like the okay to hire Quint. Like, he needs the money to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And basically the mayor is like, you could have whatever you want as long as you get rid of the shark problem. But I'm opening these fucking beaches.
Right. And so, I mean, his mind is already made up. He knows that he does not want to close the beach because he's worried about profit.
That's right. Exactly.
But now the 4th of July activities have begun. Dude,
this giant ferry comes with like a buffet of human beings.
Yeah.
Like just tourists galore.
That is an interesting choice of words, because to Jaws, that was a buffet of human beings.
Yeah, he's like, cha-ching, here they come.
Come on, get in the water.
Let's go. Come swimming.
So the beach is packed. I mean, there were so many people on the beach. There's no fucking way. That's the shit that I don't want to partake in.
I was just going to say the anxiety being around that many many people.
Having to try to set up your towel and it's like blowing over and
Oh,
sand is getting everywhere and you're
oh,
trying to like stick your umbrella in the sand if you even have an umbrella and like do the little like twist thing to get it to stay and it never stays. Meanwhile, there are people on every side of you just like
dude,
shoulder to shoulder.
not enjoyable.
No.
I mean, I've had some fun beach experiences with my friends. Like,
Sure.
you know, there's a few beaches in Buffalo that I've been to that was like a good time because I'm like in a group of people.
Right.
But never on like a holiday like that. Like, I would never go on the 4th of July
No.
or like Canada Day. There's no way.
I was gonna say mistakenly. I guess it wasn't mistakenly, but I ended up just so happened I was able to go to the beach on Easter, thinking like, oh, whatever. Like it was just the day I was able to go, and it was so packed,
Ugh,
and I was like,
I can't do it. However, if we rented a cottage and there was
oh,
like a beach and it was nighttime and we had our bonfire,
yes,
we should really do that this summer.
we
We
should.
should get a bunch of the girls and we should do that.
I'm like, where's my phone? I'm gonna send a text out right
Like,
now.
we should honestly do that. I think that would be so much fun.
That sounds amazing. Have you
Girl
ever
trip.
been- Girl trip.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge in Tennessee? With like in the mountains with the cabins.
No.
I mean, that's not on the beach, but it's like, oh my gosh, the view is so amazing. There are so many cabins there that have like a deck with a hot tub and like
Okay,
I know you
no.
don't fuck with hot tubs, but
I don't fuck with hot tubs.
still.
However, if it was just the girls, I might.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But dude, I would love to do something like that. Can
It's
we
beautiful.
please?
Yes.
I haven't done anything like that in like forever.
I mean, this is now gonna hold us accountable to make it happen.
We should. Oh my god. Yay. And s'mores. Oh my god. Okay.
You
We're
gotta
doing
have
it.
them. You gotta have
We're doing it. Girls, whoever's listening, we're going. We're doing it.
all girls. You're coming with us.
Let's go.
Okay. So Hooper and a bunch of the other, I'm assuming fishermen, are on the water. They're in smaller boats. They're trying to track the shark with a sonar.
Right. And then there's like a helicopter above, and he's keeping his eye out for Jaws. I'm just going to call him Jaws because, like, that's his
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
And everyone's kind of like trying to ensure that the beach stays safe as much as they can
Yeah.
because there's so many people in the water.
Right.
So many people.
Also, how do you even use a sonar? Because sonar is using sound waves to detect and locate objects underwater. And if there are so many people in the water, I mean, I guess they're going way deeper than that and they're like further out, but still.
But still, yeah. And also Michael and the other little kid are there. However, they're going to swim in the pond.
Brody's kids.
Brody's kids. Yes. Michael. And what's the other kid's name?
I honestly did not write down anyone but Michael, but I'll look it up right now. But
So they're in like, I don't understand how this works. Like, it's a pond, but isn't that still part of the ocean?
So it's separated by it looks like it's separated by a sandbar. Or I'm guessing it's separated by a very narrow strait, maybe is what it's called. I don't really remember what I learned in school about rivers and straits and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just like, I guess I just didn't understand because I was like, yeah, but it's still part of the ocean. Like, something can swim over there.
Mm.
And it
Michael-
does.
It does. It does end up doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm assuming there has to be some type of narrow. No, because that doesn't make sense either. I don't honestly know how we got over there, but when they showed the pond, it looked like it was separated by sand.
Okay.
But it does make it like a separate body of water, so I'm curious about that. But his children's name were Michael and Sean
Oh, okay, Sean.
in the movie.
Okay, so there's also a reporter on the beach, and he's reporting on the shark attack. The mayor is like encouraging. So at first, nobody's in the water. I feel like that's important to note.
Oh,
At first, nobody's
Yes.
in the water. And the mayor is getting pissed about this. So the mayor, oh, do you want to come up? Come on. Come on. Oh, good boy. Sorry, Didymus. We're joined by Didymus. If you're watching YouTube, you can see him.
side note, Didymus drank my coffee earlier.
Yeah, he did. He's a bit of a turd
So
sometimes.
I'm not drinking out of this cup, but I'm leaving it on display.
So important to note that the mayor is like pissed that people aren't going in the water.
Yeah.
So he goes up to this one guy and he's like, hey, so-and-so, it's time to go in the water. Get your family and go in there, please, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else will if you do. And he's like, him, his 2 kids, and his wife, like, they go in the water, but all of them look terrified.
They are so reluctantly going into the water.
The wife looks horrified.
Yes, I do love the shot. They do like a panned out shot of you see everyone on this packed shore and no one in the water. And
Yes.
it's kind of like a half and half screen, and I thought that was a really cool shot.
No, exactly. So because they go in the water, now everyone goes in the water.
Yeah, they're like, okay, it's safe to get in.
Which I think, like, okay, this is a tiny bit of a sidebar, but not. like that man, I don't care what your political affiliation is in terms of like, I don't care if you work for the mayor. I don't care if that's your fucking brother. Like, you're putting your wife and children
Yeah.
at risk from getting eaten by a shark,
Right.
because you can't say no.
He got guilt tripped. You got guilt tripped into putting your children in danger.
Dude, I can't I can't stand people like that, but I can't stand men like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're my man, like,
You better stand up to that mayor.
No, you better say no, dude. Don't be putting
Yeah.
my life. I can't. Anyway,
Also,
That
she
enraged
should have been
me.
like, babe, I'm not doing that.
like, I'm not going in the water. I would just be like, no.
Yeah. I'm
Anyway.
keeping the kids here. You can go splash around all you want.
I literally put in capital letters, what a fucking moron. It really pissed me off.
So Brody, this is where Brody tells his son, take your brother, take your little boat, and please go to the pond instead. And he's like, the pond is for old ladies. Michael says that.
Yeah.
And he's like, please just do this for me. And he does.
And he does. Then we see the mayor being interviewed by the news reporter, and he's lying and telling the news reporter that they caught the shark. They don't have to worry about anything. Like, the shark is being taken care of.
Yeah. Now everyone is in the ocean.
Oh my God.
Suddenly, a girl starts screaming and trying to get out of the water.
Yes.
And the lifeguard sees this. The lifeguards start blowing their whistles. Brody's like, no whistles, no whistles.
Because he doesn't want people panicking.
He doesn't want to incite panic.
Yep.
Some of the boats are like now coming in past the ropes, like where the people are.
Dude, like, people are getting knocked over. Like, an old man like falls, and someone has to. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but someone has to like drag him out, like,
By one arm.
Dude, it's pure chaos that the mayor caused.
That is also something that is so terrifying to me. Getting trampled by like a mob of people
No,
panicking.
it's like on what is it, like Black Friday?
Oh
That
my
was
gosh.
Thanksgiving. That movie Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, it actually scares me because shit like that does happen.
Mass hysteria is terrifying.
Scares me. Mm-hmm.
So yes, meanwhile, we see that it's a couple of kids. They have like their snorkeling gear on or whatever with like a cardboard fin. They're underwater holding it,
Little brats.
scaring people, which is so fucked up. They come out of the water, they look up, there are boats surrounding them with guns. They're about to get shot.
Yeah, it's
Imagine
crazy.
they just started shooting into the water.
No, I know. They would have been done.
So, oh my God. And then the little boy, the younger of the two, was like, he made me do it,
Yeah.
which is probably true.
I know, right?
But then someone notices that there is an actual shark.
It's like a girl, and she's like, shark. Like,
Yeah.
she's trying to like yell, and
Yeah.
nobody's really paying attention. No one's
Right.
really taking it seriously.
And it's in the fucking pond.
It's headed for the
I
pond,
don't
dude.
understand how it got in the pond.
Me neither. It's Jaws.
Because even if it was a narrow strait or whatever they're called, little body of water to connect them,
yeah.
which I imagine that's how the water got there in the first place from the ocean. Like, did he jump the sand?
Like, I'm just imagining him growing legs and being like, doo 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 doo.
I'm imagining him hit.
Dude, he's like strutting with like sunglasses
A
on.
little hat, a little top hat.
He's like-
Hello, my baby. Hello. My baby. I'm imagining him hitting the sandbar like a ramp. What the fuck?
Dude, he's like fucking into it. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
So, side note, if you don't ever yell shark on the beach, like you could actually get, it could lead to charges related to disturbing the peace or inciting panic.
I mean, it would, right?
Yeah. But anyway, she is seeing a shark and she's trying to alert everyone.
Yeah.
Now everyone starts running over there. Brody is just making a beeline down this dock.
Dude.
The shark does end up biting one of the kids that's in the water, right? It like from underneath. I don't know who it got. Or did it almost?
It almost. So
Okay.
so Michael goes into shock.
Yes.
But it doesn't. It flips the boat and it eats the fish. Doesn't it eat the fisherman?
I thought it
Yeah, there's
bit
like
someone.
a dude. There's like a dude. There's
Yeah,
like
'cause
he seems like a stoner dude. He like pulls up and he's like, "Hey, you kids all right? Like, what's going on?" He's the one. He gets eaten, and Michael
Yes.
is like frozen when he
That's
goes
what
into
it
complete
is.
shock.
Because his leg floats. And I remember like
Yeah, his leg like falls to the bottom.
Yes, and I
Ugh.
think I was confused when I was writing my notes. I must have looked down to type because I was like, wait, that is not a child's leg. There was like, he had nice calves.
Yeah, he had good calves. Like, well, this is my note. Can I read it to you? It
Yeah.
says, "We see the shark under the water take the fisherman in one big gulp." He does.
One big gulp.
Yeah, he's got a big mouth.
He just missed one leg from the knee
Yep.
down.
Yep.
And yes, Michael gets dragged out of the water. He's in shock. Mrs. Brody is running over there like, is he? He's dead. He's dead. And
Oh,
which
yeah.
at first I was like, oh shit, is he?
Right.
But then Brody's like, no, he's just in shock. And she's sobbing, of course.
I'm pretty sure he dies in part 4. Sorry, spoiler.
I'm like, what?
I mean, it came out like 20,000 years ago, but
In part 4 did? Damn.
yeah, I think it came out in 88.
Okay.
Sorry, I could be wrong. He might not die. I think he does, though.
I definitely do not think I've seen that far into the sequels, if I've seen any of the sequels.
It's been a few years. Oh, we got to watch part 3. Oh, 3D?
I'm down.
Oh my God, Jaws comes at you through the TV. It's in the slowest of like this. He's supposed to like break through glass, but literally he's moving at like a snail's pace, and it's like.
Was this late 80s? Because that makes sense. That was a time where they were all doing like a random 3D.
Yeah, exactly. And there's dolphins, and the reason I loved the movie so much is because the dolphins like save the day.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it so much.
Good
I
for
rented
them.
it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
But here, Michael does not die. He like his brother. This is where his brother's crying on the beach, and I was like, oh, they definitely like just happened to capture that.
Yeah, maybe someone kicked over his sandcastle.
Yeah.
They're like,
Oh my
go!
gosh. Imagine they're like, we need him to cry. Kick this
Action.
I want to know how they did it. Let me know.
Mine says the other kid is crying because kids always fucking cry.
Like, oh, your brother's laying on the beach almost dead. And what are you crying for? Why are you crying?
And then Brody like looks out into the ocean, and it's just a really cool like POV of him looking out into the water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael gets taken to the hospital, and for some reason the mayor is there. like you know, they have an interaction. Brody and his wife. Brody's like, you know, take Sean, the younger son, take him home,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, home to New York, and he's like, no, home here.
Yeah, there's like a little note of like.
She wants to go.
She wants to go, and
Yeah.
and she's kind of. I feel like it's like she's kind of saying like, yeah, you want to, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he is now on a mission, but the mayor happens to be at the hospital. Brody like grabs him, brings him like behind a curtain, and is like, "You're gonna sign this fucking contract. We are hiring Quint,
Yep.
so that he will kill this fucking shark."
Yeah, and the mayor's like, look, I was just acting the best for the town's interest, and
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
he's like, he you can tell at this point the mayor knows he's completely fucked up.
Yeah, and he also, I think he might be a little scared here too, because he
Oh,
does
for sure.
mention my kids were on that beach too.
Oh yeah. Oh now because your kids were at
Right.
risk, now you give a shit.
Right. So now he signs the contract.
Textbook, man.
Okay, so we cut to them here. We are at Quint's cabin or wherever he lives.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I think we were cutting to Quint's boat?
Oh, the orca?
I thought they were in the boat, and I started typing my notes like, we cut to Quint's boat. It's a really big boat. It's 2 stories. It looks like a cabin in here.
Quinn has a fucking yacht.
I just assumed he would have a boat like that. Like,
Quint's
there's a
got a
massive
yacht.
boat. And then I looked out one of the windows, and I'm like, that's grass. This is his house. This is not a boat.
Yeah, his house is like filled with shark jaws. Like he's got shark jaws all over the walls. But he's listing off like a list of demands, things that he needs.
Yeah.
He wants booze, champagne, he wants a color TV, like he wants all kinds of shit. He offers Brody a shot of booze that he made, and Brody like takes like a tiny sip of it, and then Hooper's also there, and Hooper's like, oh, I'll take it, and he just like takes the shot, and I'm pretty sure Brody says like, I don't think you should drink that, and then Hooper's like, ugh,
Yeah.
chugs it.
Meanwhile, once Quint walks away, Brody spits it out.
Yeah. He like does not want it. And Hooper like wants to work with Quint, like he wants to
Right.
go with him.
Yeah.
Quint is not about that.
No. Also, Quint, when he handed Brody this shot, his hands were covered in blood. And I'm assuming it's like fish guts. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's like shark guts or
But
whatever.
I was
yeah.
like, he's like holding the shot, like, cheers. And I'm like, what the fuck is on his hands?
Yeah, like ew. And he's being really shitty to Hooper. Like
Quint is.
really
Yeah.
shitty. And it's interesting because I watched a few interviews with Richard Dreyfuss, and then I've like read a few things. It's interesting because like some of the stuff I read said that they didn't get along for the entire shoot.
Mhm.
What's his name? Robert Shaw. He was real shitty to Richard Dreyfuss, and like would like egg him on and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But then I saw an interview with Richard Dreyfuss where he says that it was like only one specific time that they got into it, and I guess there was a lot of booze on set.
Oh, I could see that.
And I want to say it's Roy Scheider who basically says that they're on set and well Spielberg dubbed them the Great Shaw Dreyfus feud.
Okay.
So apparently like Robert Shaw would go from being like friendly with him to then like tormenting him. And in front of the crew, Shaw would like he would basically like bug Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah,
Like he would
a
kind of
sibling.
like a sibling, yes. And then he would like he would taunt him about his weight, about his work ethic.
Oh.
There's a quote, "You eat and you drink and you're fat and you're sloppy. At your age, that's criminal."
Wait, who said that to who?
Robert Shaw apparently said that to Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh.
And like I guess at some points Shaw was like drinking between takes and he stumbled toward Dreyfus with a glass of bourbon and muttered, "Help me out, will you, Richard?" Effectively inviting Dreyfus to his drink, like to take his drink. And I guess at that point, Dreyfus was just so fucking frustrated that he took the glass and like whipped it out of the wherever they were, like a boat or something. And the entire crew was like stunned.
Yeah.
Because like I think that he like finally like fought back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Spielberg called this bold move the shot heard around the world as everyone like braced for Shaw's like reaction to that. And I guess like he got really, really pissed and he got payback later in a scene by turning a high pressure fire hose on and sprayed Dreyfus in the face with it.
In the face?
On camera.
And they didn't put that in the movie?
They did not, no. And Spielberg noted that the real life tension ultimately benefited the performances.
I was just going to say, I can totally see that playing into the scenes that happen later because they were beefing in this movie.
Oh, no, for sure. And Scheider is quoted as saying he was a perfect gentleman. This is regarding Shaw. He was a perfect gentleman whenever he was sober. All he needed was one drink and then he turned into a competitive son of a bitch.
Okay.
So I don't know. I hope that made sense what I just described, but it just sounds like there was a lot of tension. And if you think about it, they're not getting along for whatever reason. Alcohol is involved, and also it was a grueling film process. Like they overshot 100 days. They were shooting on the ocean, and so many times like they would film something and then they couldn't use it because a boat would come in the background or you know there would be like locals that want to like see what's going on and then they would get in the shot or the shark wouldn't work or like the water was not level and like so you have to imagine you get to a point where you're just like,
oh my gosh, have you ever done so many takes of a pre-tape, for example, at like TNA where like I was in one time where there were like 4 or 5 of us and I was the last one. No, I'm sorry. I was the first one to speak. And then everyone else had a thing. And when it got to the very end of it, the last guy kept fucking up. So we all went through it so many times. And then the last guy would fuck up every time. So we're just repeating lines, and we're all nailing it. And he cannot get it together.
Oh, I kind of feel bad
I know.
him.
I did feel bad, but I was also like, brother.
That's like whenever I do pre-tapes, like it's like obviously I want to have a great performance, but also like even in acting, I can't help but think about the other person and that I have to do well for the other person in the scene. You know what I mean? It's like I want to like make sure that like it's good for you and set it up well for you.
Right.
I would feel so bad if I was that guy. Because like we've all flubbed.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I've flubbed live. Like it happens.
We've done it.
Yeah.
But it is, it was so many takes that I at first I was like getting a little annoyed, but I think it happened so much that I did start to feel bad for him because I was like, he probably feels more pressure now.
For sure.
And then he keeps fucking it up worse.
Or dude, like, if it's like the end of the day and you're just like, everyone is so tired and you just want to leave. And like, like for whatever reason, like you either can't get it right or whatever it is, it's like.
I wanted to be like, can he just go first? And then once he gets his line, we can all say ours. Like,
I feel so bad. It sucks because we've all had days like that where you just, for whatever reason, brain mouth not working.
Yeah,
you know, no connection.
Totally.
So so they had it sounds like they had a tough time.
Yeah,
together.
So here they are starting to load a cage onto Quint's boat, and Quint is like, "What the fuck is this?"
Okay, Quint also doesn't like any of Hooper's like equipment.
No, if
He
Hooper,
thinks his because basically I think I wrote in my notes that Quint is a boomer and Hooper is a millennial.
yes, which it's funny because I feel like uh Hooper's probably 1975. He might be a boomer, but I wonder what it
No,
was.
I'm saying comparative to today.
But I'm curious. I don't know what the generation before boomers are called.
He would be a boomer, I think.
Maybe, but either way,
Or Gen
yes.
X? Gen X. He'd be Gen X. 75? No, probably boomer.
It goes
in any
boomer,
event.
then Gen X.
Yes.
Anyway, in today, yes.
That's what I'm comparing it to.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like Quint is like, you don't need technology. We're going to use these harpoons, right?
Right,
and
right.
whereas Hooper is like, I'm going to use this sonar technology and these like, tanks and all this shit in a
Yeah.
cage. Yeah.
Anything Hooper wants to do, Quint's like, this is stupid. This is outdated.
Yeah.
Or not outdated.
It's
This
too new.
newfangled technology.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hooper's like, you're outdated, Quint.
Yeah.
But so they're loading this cage on a Quint's boat,
Mhm.
and then Hooper is like, it's an anti-shark cage, which I also think is so funny.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny to me. Maybe because of what's gonna happen. But so I wanted to touch on cages here and cage diving in general.
Mhm.
So when I did the free diving with sharks, the reason that we went free diving, or I don't know if there's another word for it, without the cage is because a lot of times when there are cage tours, when you go into the cage, they will have to do other things to attract the sharks for you to see, because the sound of the cage going into the water, the rattling, it scares everything away. If you're trying to see
Mm.
dolphins, you're trying to see sharks, whatever it is. I mean, I don't think you would go in a cage to see dolphins, but whatever's around is going to be scared away by those noises. So sometimes when they use a cage, not only are they scaring everything away, but some tours will use chum to try to lure
Ugh.
whatever they're trying. They're trying to make money off the tourists. So if
Course.
you want to see sharks, they have to lure them back. So if you are going to do a cage dive,
Make sure it's like ethical. Is that
make
like
sure it's as ethical as you can make it. A lot of people will say don't do a cage
yeah,
at
just
all.
don't do it.
Because it scares everything away, so it's fucking up the ecosystem in that way. And also, like sharks could get tangled in the cage. There have been instances where
Can
they've
we
been
just
stuck.
fucking leave them alone?
Yeah,
I just like, why are people so hell bent on? Anyway, sorry.
I know.
I feel like I'm gonna get on a soapbox.
no, I know.
I just hate it. Like, just leave them alone. I know
yeah.
you want to see what they look like, but just like fucking open a book or something. I'm sorry, but it's
no,
like,
I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that say even like free diving, like no, don't go in their habitat or whatever. But I will say, at least in Hawaii, I know that chumming is illegal.
right.
Shark fishing is illegal. Period. That's as of 2022, actually.
Oh my God, it's so
and
horrifying.
they were the first state to ban shark finning.
Dude,
also,
finning makes me it's gonna
yeah,
make me cry.
yeah.
They literally
But-
they cut their fins off and throw them back in the water.
Yeah, and then
And
they,
like leave them to like
just to waste. Like at least like if you were hunting them for food for your family or something, like you would use every part of it. But anyway,
imagine someone cutting off your limbs and then throwing you alive back into the water.
just like meh. It's wild.
It's so sad.
But I will get into more resources about that at the end too, different documentaries you can watch.
For sure.
But yeah, I would recommend not going in a cage. And also if you do, even if no matter what you do, if you are in their habitat, you stay away from them. So like with the shark diving, or like when we saw turtles one time we went snorkeling, like you have to stay so far away from them. Like you don't try to go up close to them, you don't try to touch them.
Right.
If you're going to be there at all, like stay away and stay respectful, and try to find a tour that not only does the most ethical practices, but I would say try to find one that's also contributing to the conservation for that animal.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm even weird about like swimming with dolphins. Like I don't know. I just exploiting animals like is really upsetting to me. Like Pig Island, I think is like there's no way those pigs are happy and healthy. They're probably burnt to a crisp and getting fat from like people food
From being
and
fed by
I don't
humans.
know. It's just leave animals alone.
I
Like see
know.
them from afar, contribute to conservation efforts. Go on if you want to go on a tour to see them, make sure that it's ethical, that they're being treated properly.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, just like using animals for entertainment just like really
Yeah.
upsets me.
I understand the desire to want to touch them, because of course I'm like, oh, I want to go squeeze that tiger, but like
Yeah,
no.
but like don't.
not a good idea. But
Yeah, but I know what you mean because
Yeah.
there is a curiosity, right? They're
Yeah.
beautiful. These creatures are beautiful, and you want to be able to like experience them.
yes,
It's just you don't have a right to go into their home and then be upset when they eat you.
that definitely.
You know, I don't know, and
For any type of diving and snorkeling activities in the ocean, you definitely have to sign a waiver for that.
I guess the point, yeah, at the end of the day, exactly what you're saying. Like, just whatever you do, just research it and make sure that it's ethical and that these animals are being cared for and you're
Yeah.
not just exploiting them and
Yeah.
contributing to their suffering.
Yeah, and also don't litter. There you go.
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
help,
don't,
you
maybe
can
don't
help that
litter.
way.
There you go. Exactly. Okay.
Anyway,
so back
off our
to
soapbox.
it. Okay, so we're getting on the Orca, which is Quint's Quint's boat, and the reason it's called the Orca is because orcas and killer whales are actually a threat to sharks. They can actually like kill a shark.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, I knew that killer whales
Kill,
but like I didn't know that they could go one-on-one with a shark. And I think
No.
like isn't there like a whale shark? Those things are fucking huge.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
why they call it the Orca.
the ocean is terrifying.
It is very scary, but also very amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Quint is like, "Are you going in that cage?" Like that cage goes in the water, and then you go in the cage, and then he starts singing this farewell song to Hooper, basically saying like, "Nice to know ya."
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Now Brody is going on this trip, so it's going to be Quint, Hooper, and Brody all on this boat.
Yes.
This was a really sweet scene. It was like a little, just I guess character building with Mrs. Brody. With would you say Ellen? Yeah. Ellen and Brody saying goodbye to each other, and she's like really tearful about it, and then she literally runs away like Sydney and Scream.
Because Quint is like a friggin' weirdo here.
Yeah.
And she tells Brody, like, he scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
And he says this rhyme to her. Here lies the body of Mary Lee, died at the age of 103 or 103. That's a rhyme that the actor, read off of a tombstone in Ireland and asked if he could say that in the film.
And then there was more to it too.
It's like a long, like,
something about her virginity. And I was like,
it's
what?
very creepy. And yeah, she runs off.
Yeah, she's just upset. She doesn't want her husband going on a boat with this fucking weirdo.
He's so weird.
And it's obviously a dangerous trip regardless.
I mean, yeah, they're going to hunt Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to hunt Jaws. So now Brody is on board and he's chumming.
Ugh,
Though in this case, they are trying to lure the shark, and I don't think they're thinking about the ecosystem.
I don't think so, yeah.
And honestly, I don't even know that it was illegal. It might not even be illegal in Massachusetts at all. I don't know. I'll look into that for the extended.
Okay.
Because it's actually not, a lot of those things are not illegal still in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Brody is chumming because Quint told him to. He's just doing what Quint tells him to.
Yeah, he does. He listens to Quint for sure.
He does have a different towel over his face this time, masking that smell.
I wrote they're floating as Quint yaps and drinks. Because he does not shut up, man. He is like singing and talking the entire time.
He's like excited to go on this.
I would be so irritated by him within 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm already over it. As soon as he started rhyming, I'd be like, get out. So you can tell.
Hooper looks so disgusted by him.
Oh, you can tell that Hooper does not like Quint.
No, the boys are like, they're kind of fighting with each other. You can really see how out of his depths Brody is.
Yeah.
Like, this is very much not in his wheelhouse.
No, he's terrified of the water. He's terrified of boats, and he is out there on both.
And like Quint is trying to teach him like how to tie knots, like specific knots for the boat.
Yes, the bowline knot.
Yes.
I looked it up.
Oh, I
Look
love
at
that.
me learning lingo. I might have pronounced it wrong, but I'm trying.
It sounded right to me.
And so Brody ends up he pulls the wrong knot. They told him pull one of the knots, and he pulls it, and it knocks over a bunch of compressed air tanks.
Yes.
And Hooper is pissed. He's like, if you mess this up, if you pull the wrong knots, this could blow up.
Yep.
Okay.
It's very important.
A little foreshadowing.
A little bit. Yeah.
And now, they're watching the water. Quint is trying to, that's where I wrote, he's trying to teach him how to tie the bowline knot. And then the main line they have out in the water starts moving.
Yes.
So it's like a giant fishing pole, imagine.
Yeah.
But I mean, this one is like industrial.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a normal little fishing line. The reel starts clicking slowly. And then Quint very quietly, very deliberately straps the wheel around the reel around his body. And I was like, damn, that's intense. I didn't know that fishermen did that.
No, I didn't either.
To actually like take it was like buckles. He strapped it to his waist so he could really get
crazy,
some
man.
leverage. I'm like, what if it just
That
yanks you
shark's
into the
gonna
water?
yank me right in. Yeah.
That's what I thought it was gonna do to him, but it didn't. It doesn't. And so now the line starts flying. Like whatever has it, it's going.
Yep.
And Quint is yelling for Hooper, reverse the boat, reverse the boat. He's telling Brody to pour water on the reel, I'm assuming so it doesn't burn because it's going so fast.
It's going so fast, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the line stops. And now Quint tries to start winding it back in. And it's not really going. And Quint's like, I got something big. And Hooper's like talking shit to him. You know, he's like, let it go. It's probably some gaming fish. Like, Quint's like, you might be a big shot in the lab, but not out here.
Yep.
And Hooper's telling him, you're wasting our time. You know, they're just bickering.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have something on the line. They don't know what it is. And so Quint tells Brody that he's going to try to trick the fish to the surface and then jab at him. He doesn't just haul them up like you would a catfish.
Right. Right.
He's going to try to bring it up to make it want to bring itself to the surface. And then Quint tells Brody, chum again. Go chum again.
Oh my God. This scene is wicked.
I know. It's so cool.
It's such a, like, it's iconic.
Oh my gosh. Do you know that I went to Universal when I was like 9? I barely remember anything from it.
Don't tell me you went on the ride.
I didn't.
Oh, I wanted to go on the ride so
now are you
bad.
sad?
Dude, I wanted to go on that ride when I was a kid so bad.
I am so sad that I didn't go on the ride.
Dude,
because I was scared.
It was like my lifelong dream was to go on that ride.
I didn't go because I was too scared. Also, I had 2 options at one point to either go on the Back to the Future ride with my cousin and my brother, or to go with my mom, who was taking my youngest brother to go see the live Barney show.
Did you go to the freaking live Barney show? AK, AK, what the hell? AK, come on. Barney?
I know.
You were 9.
I was scared.
Barney?
No, I was scared to go on the Back to the Future ride without my mom.
Oh, that's so cute.
I literally chose Barney just so I could go with my mom.
Okay, that's cute.
And I'm really sad now as an adult realizing I was there when the Jaws ride was there and I did not go on.
I'm angry at you for not going on the Jaws ride.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
But anywho, Brody is chumming. And side note, when you're typing things in your Google search, like, is chumming illegal? Make sure you don't forget the H.
It just took me a second to get that. I'm like, what?
Your browser history will need to be
like,
deleted.
I don't get it. What do you mean, AK? Break it down for me.
So anyway, Brody's like, yeah, I'll chum, whatever. Why don't you come down here and chum? You know, he's talking shit.
Yeah.
He's not looking at the water. He's just throwing the chum and looking back at Quint. And then the fucking shark pops his whole head out of the water right behind. And Brody turns at the last second to see it. This is the first time we're seeing Jaws.
Dude, his cell, unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is so, like, you see it. His face is exactly what you would look like if you saw a shark like that.
Yeah.
Just stunned.
And so close.
So close. He's stunned. He's scared.
He backs up into the room where Quint is. And this is where he delivers his iconic line, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Which was ad-libbed.
And also, this whole time, I thought the line was, "We're going to need a bigger boat." But he says, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
You're going to need a bigger boat. Do you want to hear the backstory on that?
Sure do.
So, the famous line was not in the script. It was a crew. It was a crew in joke that actor Roy Scheider slyly worked into his performance. The production's equipment barge was nicknamed the SS Garage Sale, and whenever anything went wrong, which was often, crew members would quip to producers David Brown and Richard Zanuck, "You're gonna need a bigger boat." Scheider began ad-libbing the line during various takes, and one perfectly timed delivery made the final cut.
Wow.
Which was right after he saw the shark. Also, another little thing, the boat that they're on, the Orca, so they had a support boat that towed the Orca.
Okay.
Okay. But it was going too fast and it caused planking to rip off the hull and water started flooding into it and the Orca began to sink with actors and crew on board.
In the actual ocean.
Yeah, and they had to get them off, obviously. They had to get them out.
What?
I know, isn't that crazy?
Fuck?
Dude.
This seems so chaotic. Why would you want to go out on the wild ass ocean and not have a controlled environment?
I mean, think about it. Like, Spielberg is young. He wants to be innovative, right? Like, probably not thinking. There's a reason why they film movies in, like, swimming pools and shit, right? And at one point, like, a camera fell underwater. And during this whole like situation, a camera fell in the water, and so did the audio recordings. Thankfully, the voice sound mixer John Carter like caught it, and there's like a joke like "fuck the actors, save the sound department." But during all of that, one of the cameras fell into the water. But the cinematographer Bill Butler basically saved the day by storing the film magazines in salt water until they could be rushed to a lab, preventing damage to the footage. So this was a
Wow.
huge deal. The fact that it was almost sinking, they lost cameras, they would almost lost all their sound. Like,
He really saved it.
dude, in the middle of like filming on the ocean,
Yeah.
when they've already like they're already super behind on filming. They filmed as much as they could on land that didn't involve the shark. Like they tried to film everything they could
Yeah.
before they had to involve the shark and before they had to actually be on the ocean.
Mhm.
Like they're on the ocean, dude. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think that they were filming in such a chaotic environment.
Yeah.
And people were miserable. People were seasick. People were like, it was not a fun
Yeah.
shoot.
Ugh.
It was not fun at all. So, anyways, and the fact that they got such incredible performances, I wonder if it had to do with the fact that it was real. Like you're just
Yeah.
getting to a point where you're like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway,
For
sorry,
real.
that was a bit of a side tangent, but
No, I loved it. So Quint goes outside and now they see he goes like outside on the deck, or I don't know all the terms of boats,
Me
but
neither.
you know, he goes outside on the boat and he sees the shark swimming at the surface. The music kicks in. He tells Hooper, shut off the engine. That is a real thing that they will do on boats when whatever you're trying to find is near because they don't want to scare it away with a motor. So he shuts off the engine and Hooper's trying to get Brody to go out on the pulpit, he keeps calling it, which to me looks like a plank, like walk the plank.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what it
that
looked like to me.
long
Yeah.
point. But it does have a railing. But I wrote absolutely the fuck not. Like
No.
he wants to get a picture of the shark with something to scale as much as he can. And he's telling Brody, of all people, to go walk out on the edge here. Absolutely not. I
No.
would not do that.
You want that picture? You go walk on there.
Right. I wrote, sorry, Hooper, but you're on your own with this one.
Yeah.
And so now Hooper goes underneath to get something. Meanwhile, Quint is now on the pulpit with his harpoon, yelling for Hooper to tie the knot he needs to tie. Like they all have their designated tasks, right?
Yes, yeah.
And so Quint wants to shoot the shark with this harpoon, which is the spear attached to a rope, which needs to be knotted on a barrel because the barrel's going to float and then they can track the shark.
Right.
It is not tied to the barrel. And he's, Hooper is underneath the boat doing something with his equipment.
Yes.
And so Quint is yelling for him, like, tie the knot, tie the knot, tie the knot. Finally, Hooper runs up there, ties the knot at the last second, and yells for Quint to shoot. He shoots, and the spear sticks. So they successfully get that first barrel on Jaws.
Also, during all of this commotion, Ellen calls on the radio and asks Quint like how things are going, and he's like, yep, no sightings yet.
Oh my
okay,
gosh.
see you later. Like just fully lies to her.
Everything's great.
Everything's great. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Brody is like, no, but can we please go get a bigger boat? Like you can hear him. He keeps asking for a bigger boat.
Yeah. Yep.
Now it's the evening, and Hooper and Quint are drinking, and they start to bond a little bit over their shark scars. So this is one of those scenes where when you were telling me about how they did have a little bit of beef, there was a lot of booze on set, I'm like, oh, this had to have been one of the scenes because I felt like there was actual rapport building going on.
Yeah.
It felt like the way I was about to say Richard Dreyfuss, the way Hooper was laughing in this scene,
Yeah.
it felt real to me. I was like, I don't know if I could laugh and make it look that realistic. Like I think he was actually maybe he was a little, taking a shot before the scene or something.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it definitely seems very authentic. I know that Shaw asked Spielberg if he could actually remove his tooth and add that into the scene because he was missing a tooth. So
Yeah.
he asked him, he's like, can I use that in the scene? And he's
Yeah.
like, sure, go for it, But yeah, they're kind of like sharing scars, they're sharing war stories, and they're kind of going back and forth. Look at my scar on my leg, look at my scar on my arm, et cetera, et cetera. And then one of them points out like a tattoo, or like it looked like it was like a missing tattoo, or like there
Yeah.
was a tattoo there and it looked like it had been somewhat removed.
Yeah, and Brody is like, oh, what's that one on your arm?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I bet you it said mother, and they're all just like laughing,
Making jokes.
And here comes Quint's unbelievable monologue.
Haunting tale of a real event that happened.
Yes.
Not to him, I imagine, but
No, this is the 1945 shark attack on the, what was it, the USS?
the USS Indianapolis.
This was a real story. If you guys want to deep dive on it, you absolutely can.
Yes, I will say this is such a coincidence because months ago, I actually listened to a true crime episode on the USS Indianapolis before we ever decided to cover this movie.
Well, tell me about it.
Shout out to the Morbid podcast. I'm obsessed with them.
I
You
know you
already
are.
know. You know that I
Yes,
am. But shout out
yes.
to the Morbid podcast. I'm obsessed with them. And they did a great episode on the USS Indianapolis.
And so do you want to just give us a Cliff Notes version of
Yeah.
what exactly happened?
So this is a real event that happened. I will try to summarize it quickly. So Japanese bombs hit the USS Indianapolis, which had delivered viral components for the atomic bomb.
Right. Okay. Got you. Yeah.
1,100 men went into the water. A lot of this Quint does say in his monologue.
Yes.
But 1,100 men went into the water. I believe it was over 1,100. The vessel went down in 12 minutes. Men were being eaten alive by sharks. This mission was so secret that no distress signal was sent for the survivors. And they weren't thought of as overdue for like a week. So nobody knew where they even were to be able to say, oh, they haven't showed up on time. Sonar was actually the reason that that boat was detected by a submarine, by a Japanese submarine, by the rattling of their fucking dishes.
Whoa.
That's how they were detected.
Wow.
They were so secretive about it. And they put so many things into place to not be detected. And that's what fucking gave them away.
Wow.
And only 316 survived out of over 1,100. And Quint is telling this haunting tale. And it makes it so much more sense why he is more than happy to find and kill this shark. He watched all of his friends
It's personal, man.
get eaten by sharks, amongst many other things. He goes into much more detail about it. This monologue is intense.
Dude, it's pretty crazy. He does say that like sharks have like black eyes, dead eyes. He talks about men screaming, the ocean turning red. He said there were 100 men the first morning, 6 dead an hour. And one of his buds was like floating and he like swam over to him and he was like, checking on him. And it turned out it was just his like upper body, his like bottom body had been cut in half and eaten.
The people that weren't getting eaten by sharks, they were dying of other things. I mean, they're stranded in the ocean and they would start to hallucinate. They would start to drink ocean water and that kills you as well. Ugh. And it was horrible.
Horrifying.
Man. And that's why I don't want to spoil it, even though this whole episode is a spoiler. But later on, what happens makes me so mad. Like I feel so bad.
I know he has seen some shit, man. It's so sad. So something about this scene specifically, Robert Shaw filmed it hammered, and it was not good. And he apologized to Spielberg and asked him, "Can I please?" I think this was like the next day. He was like, "Please let me do another take.
Yeah.
Like I can't. This is bad." And he did. He did another take. One take.
And that's what was in the movie.
And that's what's in the movie.
I want to see the hammered one.
So I've read, it's so funny. Like, you never know like how true this information is, right? Like, cause I've watched documentaries, I've been deep diving, listening to podcasts, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Some say they use half from when he was drinking and some when he was sober. Like they use both takes. Others say they just used the sober take.
There's a lot of contradicting information out there about this movie.
Yeah.
There's something else we're going to come to that I randomly tried to go down a rabbit hole on, and I kept finding different information from different people, which you would think, because this movie is older, that the truth would have come out. But there's still like just contradicting takes on what was done.
And I wonder too if like, because there's so many people involved in this movie and there were so many challenges, like people are going to have different experiences and perspectives of it for sure.
Yeah. Quint also says here that he will never put on a life jacket again. Which, can you imagine being stranded at sea that long in a life jacket? You never want to have that, like, and life jackets are tight. And, ugh.
Oh, dude, it's so I don't know, man.
Then they start drunk singing, because how do you segue into anything else after hearing a story like that from a survivor?
Yeah, don't they like hear whales like in the background and then they all start singing? Yeah, and it's actually a really cute scene. Once they all start singing together, you get the sense of like, okay, they're bonding here.
It's very much a so anyway moment.
So anyways, we're all stuck at sea together, going to kill a humongo shark. Let's just drink and sing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meanwhile, we see on the surface of the water that the barrel is back.
Those barrels saved them, by the way. Like Spielberg, straight up, I have a quote from Spielberg talking about the barrel situation. And he says, "The barrels were a godsend because I didn't need to show the shark as long as those barrels were around. What you don't see is generally scarier than what you do see." So having the barrels.
So true.
Oh my God. Like, again, because of circumstances, the shark's not working. They got to get creative to use the barrels.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the barrels were probably in the script, I would think, but still, like,
I mean, it makes sense in the story that they would need to track the shark somehow anyway,
yeah.
and using flotation, things that float. Also, trying to prevent the shark from being able to swim too far under was one of the things that the barrels, at least Quint was hoping the barrels would do,
Oh, okay.
which we'll see a
I
little
did
bit
not
later.
catch that, so that's interesting.
With the 3 barrels, he mentions it. Once
Okay.
there's 3, but right now there's only 1, I think. And so the barrel is getting closer. And
Mhm.
now the shark starts ramming into the ship.
Yeah, like banging into it.
Yes. Quint is like, he immediately just straight face. They're drunk singing and he just automatically start the engines.
Mm-hmm.
And he is so calm. A light fixture or something falls and starts a small fire.
Oh my God. And he just very casually goes, Brody, can you put that fire
Yeah.
out?
Chief, put out that fire, would ya? Without even blinking.
Like,
so
it
he
just
is-
speaks to like, he's so, he's unfazed by what would be a crisis for a normal person. Not a
Yeah.
normal person, but you know what I mean? Like someone that isn't equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
For him, it's like, this is game time for him.
Meanwhile, Brody is sweating.
Oh, he does not like this situation at all.
He looks terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Quint is outside shooting around the barrel, hoping to eventually hit the shark because, of course, he can't see it underneath the surface. And there's a moment where Brody, the
He
camera's
looks
on,
so scared, dude.
the camera's on Brody. You see a shooting star behind him, which I thought was so random. I'm like, why is that there? What does that mean?
Did they just catch it?
So that's the debate. This is a whole thing. People have like gone.
I feel like I read that they just caught that,
So-
or I saw it in a podcast or something.
Okay, so there is I think I have it in my notes. Yes, the 1995 documentary The Making of Jaws claimed that the meteor was real, captured by film cameras at the right place at the right time. However, since then, since 1995, a lot of other people that were there or have talked to Steven Spielberg are like, no, that's not what happened. So, I mean, there is the famous film editor Paul Hirsch. I mean, he won an Oscar for his work on Star Wars. He knows how to, do this shit. And he has a book called A Long Time Ago in a Cutting Room Far, Far Away. And he says that he asked Spielberg himself, and the quote from his book is, "As I had suspected, that streak was deliberate. It was a little foretaste to Steven's next picture, Close Encounters of the Third Kind."
Okay.
But other people that were there, I think, who did you say was a cinematographer that saved
Bill
the film?
Butler.
Bill Butler, I believe, was one of them that said something different, like, "Oh, we just captured it." And so different people have said different things to different media
But like,
outlets over the years.
I don't understand how they could have dubbed that in at that point. It's 1975. It's not like they have CG.
But they did have something because there are people, I mean, people who understand how to create such things have done like frame by frame and explain why it won't work. Like, oh, if that was a real fireball or meteor or whatever at the time.
Meteor isn't a shooting star.
A shooting star. But other people said it could have been a fireball. I don't know what that is exactly, but they were going. I mean, people deep dive into this.
Wow.
And they said, well, if it was actually that, the cloud would have lit up differently. It didn't light up the cloud behind it at all because it appears again later on in the movie. Like, I'm talking, I went down a rabbit hole.
I love that.
And there's no real conclusion, but people are claiming that Steven Spielberg said himself that it was just added. That it was some type of special effect.
Okay,
So
interesting.
I don't think it's a hill that you need to die on. It's not that big of a deal, but it is very interesting and I like to know.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I thought in the documentary that I watched, I thought they said that it was legit, but maybe I watched that 1995 documentary.
Maybe.
I think I did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know.
All right. Well, back on the boat.
Back on the boat, there is now silence on the water.
Yeah.
Okay, so they did not nothing happened with the shark here. They're okay, and the shark's gone.
We fade to the next morning. There is a
Yes.
shot of Brody getting a gun.
Yes.
Brody gets a gun. Brody looks very scared and he grabs a gun.
Yes, and Quint is like doing things underneath the boat to fix it.
Yeah, he's like repairing it. Hooper's repairing
Yeah.
stuff. And Brody's like driving the ship at this point.
Right. They grab a boat hook, which is a hook on a very long pole. Okay, I looked up what it was called. And they bring the barrel over. So the barrel's floating and they're trying to drag it over to the boat because it looks like maybe it's not attached to the shark anymore. And they're lying face down. Hooper and Quint are lying face down.
Everything is filled. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Everything is filled with so much tension.
Yes.
Like here, him just like trying to get the barrel. Like I was so stressed. And I've seen this movie a million times. I was so stressed.
because you know something is gonna happen, and someone's face being that close to the water, that it you
No.
just know it Yes, tension and the build, and you're just waiting for it and you're holding your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they're on their stomachs, faces inches above the water, and the shark pops up and again for another little jump scare.
Dude, it made me jump.
We can see more of the scale of the shark here in size, and I mean it is huge. It's way bigger than an actual great white.
Yeah, they say he's 25 feet.
Yes. So according to thedailyjaws.com,
Mm-hmm.
Bruce, the mechanical shark,
Oh, Bruce.
was designed to be about 25 feet long, whereas the average great white grows to be about 15 to 20 feet.
20, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I also saw a chart that was showing like what size the shark is supposed to be in like Jaws 1, Jaws 2, Jaws 3. He literally adds 5 feet like every movie.
He's
But
like
then,
a megalodon by the end of it. Yeah.
But no, by 4 they go back to the 25 feet. So so much of the anatomy of the great white was exaggerated to make him more menacing. Of course. It's Hollywood, right?
Yeah, of course.
So
he does. He looks scary.
His teeth are bigger than what the average great white would have. The jaw is way wider. The body was way bulkier than what a great white actually looks like. They're much sleeker.
Yeah,
they're hunters.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't be, they need to be I was gonna say aerodynamic, but I guess like water dynamic. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, they're not as big and bulky.
Yeah.
Because Jaws is real wide.
Jaws is very bulky. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's on the gas.
Yeah. Jaws is bulking.
Do you know they can live to be 40 to 70 years old?
What?
Yeah, they can live to be pretty old.
Wow. I love that we have a lot of different notes too.
Yeah, I know,
love
me
that,
too.
Because I didn't see that fact. I love that.
There are only 333 documented unprovoked attacks on humans by great whites.
Wow.
52 of them were fatalities.
Okay.
But there's a 1 in 3.75 million chance of ever being attacked and killed by a shark.
Yeah.
Great whites specifically do not hunt humans.
Yeah.
And there are only 3 to 5,000 left in the world.
Wow.
And I think it's off the coast of Africa somewhere. This was recently. It was water that it was supposed to be infested with great whites. They're not infested, but like that's where they live. They're not there. And so basically it affects the ecosystem because they're apex predators and they keep like the sea lion population down.
Mm-hmm.
They just like they have an effect on the ecosystem essentially.
Yeah.
And because they're like they usually like they prey on seals, they prey on large fish, they prey on sea lions. So they prevent those population from exploding, and then basically it makes sure that there's resources are distributed more evenly throughout the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking that they are endangered.
Yeah.
And it just everything I read about them, it just made me feel more and more heartbroken over the fact that they indirectly maintain the health of like essential marine habitats, right? Like seagrass beds and coral reefs, and they control like the population of grazers, and they do so much for the ocean.
It is
and they're
unfortunate.
hunted.
Yeah,
they're hunted. And not just hunting, like, well, yeah, like they're hunted for like their teeth and their fins and shit. But they're unintentionally caught in like fishing gear.
Right.
That's huge. Like that's a huge problem. Climate change, pollution, it all affects like the temperature of the ocean, and the acidity in the ocean is like super hot. Like it's higher, and it's like all fucked up from climate change and shit. So we're just ruining their environment and killing them.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say really quickly, there's even though I've gone on all these tangents because I just think it's important. But there's a website called sharktrust.org. It's a really great organization.
Yes.
You can not only can you like contribute financially, but you can also adopt a shark, which is up on my list of things that I am 100% doing. And they're just a really, really great organization if you're interested in getting involved with sharks and helping them.
Okay, can we adopt a shark after this episode?
Yes.
I really want to.
No, me too. It was on my list of things to do. I wanted to do it before the episode, and I just got caught up in my own shit. But no, for real. Like,
I love that.
yeah.
And so, yes, of course, the behavior and aggression of the shark is also exaggerated for the film. But I mean, it's unfortunate that people, of course, I mean, it's a horror movie, and obviously the sensationalism of this crazy giant shark eating people is what people are going to focus on. They do acknowledge throughout the film this is not a normal shark. Like,
For sure.
Like even Hooper is like, you know, there's so many times Brody is like, does a great white normally? And Hooper's like, no, a great white does
Yes.
not normally do this.
I think that's why they call him like a rogue,
Right.
whatever. But
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
unfortunately, it instilled so much fear in people that people just started hunting sharks,
That's crazy to me.
which is so horrifying. Like, especially, I don't know. I mean, you know how I feel about it. Okay,
Yeah.
back to the movie. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So Brody does go to make a phone call. He's trying to call his wife.
Oh my God.
This was wild. I would have started fighting Quint.
I would have thrown him off the fucking boat.
And I'm sorry, Brody, I don't think is calling his wife. He's calling in like Mayday,
Like the Coast
Mayday.
Guard. Yeah.
Mayday. And Quint takes a baseball bat, which also, why do you have a bat? Like, there are so many long stick-like objects on a boat that have another function. Like, what do you have a bat for? But maybe his boat was just his emergency bat for smashing the fucking phone, because that's what he does with it.
Yeah, it's like a phone radio or whatever. It's basically their only contact to land.
Yeah.
And he's just lost it.
Yes, like, why did he do that?
I think because he's so hell bent on catching the shark himself. He doesn't want to involve the Coast Guard. He wants to get the shark.
Yes, and you know what? Yes. Yes, and that's on yes. but yes, because there are so many similarities between this story and Moby Dick. And Quint being Ahab and Jaws being Moby Dick. Or the white whale.
It's so funny that you bring up Moby Dick, AK,
Yeah.
because originally, they were gonna have when they introduced Quint, they were gonna have him introduced in a movie theater where he's watching Moby Dick.
Okay. And that ties directly together.
Yes, exactly. They obviously didn't end up doing that. But originally he was going to be sitting at the back of the theater laughing so loudly at the absurd special effects of the whale that he drove the other viewers to exit the theater. And then eventually he would be discovered.
Yeah.
But they changed it.
That makes so much sense because, yeah, he smashes the phone because he's like, no, I am catching this fucking shark.
No, for sure. Can I also tell you, in the novel, Ellen and Hooper have like an affair.
Why?
I don't know. There's
For
also
what?
like mafia ties and stuff. I've never read the book and I'm kind of curious now. I kind of want to read it. But yeah, they obviously dropped some of the stuff from the book.
Is it under the same name?
Jaws?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm about 100% sure that
No,
it's...
I like Ellen and I like Hooper.
I know.
What the fuck? Okay. So
Yes, it was the same name, Jaws.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Brody obviously is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And starts screaming. Meanwhile, Hooper is like, okay, the shark is coming back.
Jaws is back,
Yeah.
guys. He's back. And he is... Holy shit. This is where you really see the size of Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Quint ends up shooting another 2 spear barrel combos into Jaws as he's like going around being a fucking menace.
Yes, and they're trying to get the boat to move as fast as they can, but the boat is struggling to like keep up with how fast that the shark is going.
Yeah. Also, Brody is trying to shoot it with his little handgun.
Yes.
And I don't know why that looks so funny to me. Like, I'm sure you could.
Because he's so huge.
I know. I think that's why. And just knowing he's like not a normal, he looks like he, I don't know, has like some superpowers or something. I'm like, you really think that gun is going to stop him?
And also, like, we haven't even talked much about the music, but like in this scene specifically, to me, the music is like filled with excitement and wonder. It's very like,
Yeah.
you know, like adventure.
It's so interesting. And that really does play an effect on how you feel, because I remember certain scenes like that where I was like, oh, we're not in danger.
It is telling you, it's basically setting you up.
Yeah.
And then obviously they are in danger.
Yeah.
But the music in this movie plays, I think it's just as important as everything else.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
it is its own character.
It is. And that's a really good way to put it. You feel like, oh, we're winning.
Yeah.
The good guys are winning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they start tying the ropes from the barrels to the actual boat itself because they need more power, right?
Yeah, like leverage, right?
And oh my gosh, when Hooper gets stuck in one of these ropes, I felt panic. Like it kind of
Dude.
wraps around his legs as a barrel or whatever is tightening. The rope is tightening. I thought he was going to go overboard there too. And he doesn't. Like he gets rescued. But I was like, oh.
No, it's so scary. Brody suggests that they, instead of like following the shark out further to sea, he's like, why don't we get the shark to follow us to the shore?
Yeah.
Because it'll be easier to kill him there, and potentially he'd drown himself. Like he won't be able to breathe.
Right. There
Which,
is
like,
a moment.
I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah, that part, I was like, wait, what? I had to rewind that to see what was happening. But before they do that, the shark starts dragging their boat because the ropes are tied to it.
yes.
And so much water is coming aboard. Finally, Quint has to take a machete and cut the lines because he's gonna drag the boat down. He's gonna drag the whole boat under the water.
Like water is like spraying and going into the boat. Yes.
And so the barrels are still attached to the shark at this point. They're just not attached to the boat anymore. And Brody notices that they're sinking. And Quint hands him a pump. He's like, all right, go get the water out.
Yeah, like we need to get the water out of here. Exactly.
Which someone commented on our I Know What You Did Last Summer episode and let us know.
I saw that.
Yeah, about the water at the bottom of the boat. We're like, why is there water in this boat? And they were saying like that happens and you pump it out. And
yeah, it's like I've never been out on sea like that, so I don't know.
But we appreciate when you all tell us things that we missed or sometimes we have questions. We're like, do you know the answer to this?
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
No, we love it.
On YouTube.
But it's clear now that Jaws is stronger than this boat.
Yes. And this is where Quint is like, okay, he can't stay down with 3 barrels on him. He won't be able to go underwater with 3 barrels on him. That's too much like buoyancy or whatever. And then he does.
Oh, he is no problem at all.
Yeah.
And he races towards the orca. Like
yes, now he's charging, now he's chasing them.
Yes. And
like you said, the boat can't keep up.
The boat cannot keep up. And Hooper knows this. Like Hooper is trying to tell him we're going too quick. We're going too fast.
Yeah, he's like, don't put that much pressure on the boat. And Quint is just flooring it.
Yeah, and he says to Quint, he's like, have you ever dealt with a shark this big? And Quint is like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
Sure haven't.
Yeah, and I think this is where Brody asks Hooper, does the great white normally? And he just cuts him off. Hooper's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't normally chase people.
Like, and the entire boat is like jerking and it's shaking. And then Jaws like emerges from under the boat. Like he's fully chasing them. It's crazy.
Yes, but there's one point where Hooper like goes up to try to like physically fight Quint. They start like tussling up there.
Oh,
I thought there's so many moments where I was like, they're going overboard, and they didn't.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And you can see like the boat is struggling, like black smoke is starting to come from the bottom of it because the engine cannot handle like the throttle or whatever. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean? Like he's gunning it and the boat can't keep up. It's smoking. Hooper's like, you need to stop the boat. You need to stop the boat. We hear an explosion from underneath.
Yeah.
And the boat is like very full of water at this point as well.
Yeah. And then they lose the shark again.
They lose the shark. The barrels go under the water, and they're too far from shore. And this is the only point so far that I've noticed that Quint looks stressed.
Oh yeah, the boat is sinking.
You actually see it in his face now
when he looks at the life jackets,
dude.
And I was like, oh, is he gonna put one on? Like he said he was never going to. No, he brings 2 back up. Hands 1 to Cooper, 1 to Brody. He's still not putting one on.
Dude, like I thought that was like, again, the acting is just like, oh, it's so good. Because you can see on his face. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
That shit's bad.
And so Hooper tells him that he thinks he can pump 20 cc's of strychnine nitrate into him, whatever that is, but not through his skin. Like the needles are too small and he needs to try to go in through his mouth, which I was like, you crazy for that. But he needs to go down in the cage. And so Brody is like, he will destroy that cage. Like the shark is going to destroy that cage. And Hooper is like, do you have any better suggestions?
Right.
So then sure enough, Hooper is getting suited up to go down into the water. And as he's getting in the cage, he looks up at them and he's like, I ain't got no spit. And I was like, what? Because I guess when you spit in goggles, it prevents fog.
Oh,
so
okay.
And also it was telling us that he is fucking nervous as shit.
Oh, he's very scared.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And Brody's looking at him like he's never going to see him again.
Yeah. He's like, all right, like farewell, I told you. And so now he's underwater. Hooper is underwater. He has his giant needle, which I was like, you don't think that's going to go through the shark's skin? I was thinking it's like a normal, tiny little like
I think it's because sharks have like very, very, very thick skin.
It might be, yeah. Yeah. Because that needle was big.
Aren't they like made of something like cartilage or something?
They're going to say cardboard. Like, I don't know. Aren't they made of something?
Okay,
I can see them having a very thick skin.
So Hooper goes down in this cage. It is quiet. It is eerie. Like when I think of the ocean, this is what I think of. I think of it just being black and quiet.
Yeah.
And in the novel, he actually dies.
In the cage, yeah.
In the cage. That is not what happens here. However, the Jaws music starts.
Yes.
And it comes in hot, man.
From behind, too. And then he slams into the cage. Hooper drops his needle to the ocean floor.
Oh my God.
The cage is also dented now, and the shark keeps coming back, slamming into the cage over and over and over, and it's creating a hole. And now Hooper, he starts stabbing the shark.
And he's like circling the cage too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, ugh.
And it really looks like he's getting his face in there, in that cage.
Mhm.
And there was a point where there's a bunch of blood and I'm like, oh shit, did he get Hooper? But I think it's just the blood from the shark.
Because he's
getting
being stabbed. Yeah, he's stabbing him with a knife.
But
Yeah.
it's hard to tell because there's so much going on. Obviously in the water, there's bubbles, you know, there's a lot.
And Jaws is now biting the cage.
Right.
But Hooper manages to get out and he swims down and kind of hides under like some underwater like rocks and shit.
Like coral or
very
something.
smart. Very smart.
Maybe
yeah.
the coral reef. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
But the shark is kind of tangled up in the cage, it seems. So there's a little distraction.
Yep. Yeah, like
Now-
I think Jaws thinks he's still in the cage, so he's like,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
trying to
Now, Jaws breaches the water and lands his upper body on the back of that sinking boat. This scene is possibly the most terrifying scene in the entire movie.
eat it. Okay, but before he does that, they pull the cage up.
Right.
They pull it
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and they think that Hooper's dead.
They see the cage and they see that Hooper is I said Cooper. They see that Hooper is not in the cage.
Yes, and if this is the first time you're watching the movie, you definitely would assume that maybe something happened to Hooper.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know, right? We saw him hide, but like that doesn't mean much, right?
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. He full on like hops his big shark ass onto the boat and it causes the boat to like fall
It
forward.
tilts.
It tilts. Yeah. Oh god,
Yeah.
this is the scariest scene in a movie.
It's so scary.
Dude.
It's tilting. Jaws is just there, you know,
Mouth open.
flapping his literal jaws. And Brody and Quint are, you know, screaming and trying to hold on. Quint,
It's like holding onto Brody's hand and it's wet, right? So like
Yeah.
he's slipping and you have to think of it like it's on a huge slant. So there's nowhere to go but down into Jaws.
he slides right into Jaws's mouth.
Dude, he's like kicking his feet. He's trying to fight this shark off. Like he's kicking him. He's doing everything he can to not fall in his mouth.
And he's getting ragdolled across the boat.
Okay. We have to talk in depth about the scene.
Yes, it is very disturbing. Also, we have a little figurine of it here.
Yeah, it's right here.
He has a machete and he has a spear, but it's not helping him.
Doo-doo. I saw this movie when I was 6 years old. I did not remember it this way. Like
Yeah.
I knew that Quint got eaten,
Yeah.
but to watch it now, I've seen, you know, I have seen a lot of horror movies. Okay.
Mhm.
I love the Terrifier movies. I love every kill in the Terrifier movies. Nothing that I've ever seen in a movie comes close to how visceral and terrifying watching Quint get eaten alive.
Yeah.
He plays like the terror in his voice. He is screaming.
Yeah.
He is like fighting for his life. And then when Jaws bites down, so his lower half of his body is in
Mhm.
Jaws's mouth. Think of that. And then his upper body is out of his head is
Mhm.
out of his mouth. He bites down on him and he lets out one like girdle with blood comes out.
Yeah. It's upsetting.
I'm sorry. I just did not remember it like that.
Being that gruesome and unsettling.
And I'm going, Dad, I love you to death. Wish you were here. My God, rest in peace. Why would you let me watch this?
Yeah.
Like, why were you like, I've got a great movie for my kid?
That's why I'm wondering if whoever was watching Jaws and maybe I walked in the room, maybe they like turned the channel or something
Yeah.
when that came on, or maybe the TV version didn't show that.
I was going to say,
scene.
if it was like on TBS or something, it might have been edited.
Very, very likely.
Like, it is
Yeah.
no wonder this instilled so much fear in people.
Yeah.
That scene alone makes the whole movie, like the build to that.
Yeah. And then
Ugh.
because when you're watching it, you're like, oh, so sharks can do that? Okay, got it.
Dude, it
And-
legit is one of the gnarliest death scenes I've ever seen in my life.
And for me, knowing what Quint went through on the USS Indianapolis.
And this is how he go, like,
and
oh
he
my
survived
God.
all of these sharks, killing all of his friends. And
Only
then
to get eaten.
to get eaten by a fucking shark.
I mean, how else is he gonna go out though? Do you know what I mean?
It was very upsetting to me.
Oh, it's horrifying. Horrifying. And Brody is watching this happen. Okay?
And now he's all alone.
Like, think about that, dude.
yeah, he's watching it happen. The boat is sinking. He is now all alone.
And
At-
Jaws is still coming for him.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Jaws is like, okay, next.
At one point, Jaws busts through one of the windows that's now halfway under the water, and
Mhm.
Brody throws one of those compressed air tanks in his mouth.
Yes, because he's like trying to stab him and stuff. Like there's
Mhm.
like Brody is like fighting him off
Right,
essentially.
right.
And yes, he does.
Just throwing everything that's floating around him at the shark. That tank goes into its mouth. The shark goes away.
Yep.
Now, Brody is climbing on top of what's left above the water. So he's climbing up what I believe is the crow's nest, like that long pole.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's stabbing the shark with a long spear when it comes up to him, like maybe the boat hook he's using. Okay, and so Jaws keeps like going away, coming back, going away. The crow's nest is almost entirely in the water now, and Jaws is coming back, and he has his mouth open, and that tank is showing, and now
Because he's kind of chewing on it like bubble gum.
yeah,
Mhm.
and Brody is shooting at the shark and the tank, and he keeps shooting and keeps shooting. He's like, "Come on!" And then finally, he says, "Smile, you son of a bitch!" And he hits the tank, and Jaws's whole head explodes.
Oh yeah,
This explosion was like,
massive.
I thought the entire shark exploded, but then we see his like body floating to the bottom.
Yeah.
So it was just the
Mhm.
head.
Yeah.
But it was like just an explosion of blood in the
Dude.
ocean.
Dude.
Then we see air bubbles popping up to the surface.
And
we're
Brody's like
"Oh."
laughing, by the way. Brody's like having a moment of like the type of laughter that comes after like shock.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
When
Like you're just
when
like
you've lost it.
yeah, you've lost it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We see air bubbles and it's Hooper.
Yeah.
And so Brody is happy to see him, but of course, like he has to tell him like Quint didn't make it.
Yep.
And then they use the barrels, those big barrels they were shooting into Jaws, to swim back.
Yes. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I think you're gonna say what I was about to say.
That they're like kind of talking to each other and like laughing. And Brody tells him he used to hate the water, and Hooper responds with, "I can't imagine why."
Oh yeah. And then if you watch the end credits very closely, because the credits show after that and it's at the beach.
Yeah.
And if you watch the credits closely, you'll see that they make it back to the shore safely.
Yeah. And that's
Mhm.
the end. And you hear the adventure music.
That is the end of Jaws.
What a movie,
It
man.
was so much better than I remembered it being from childhood, but I'm sure I was probably walking into the room,
Yeah.
seeing like long scenes and being
Mhm.
like, I'm bored. Nothing's happening, and like leaving.
Yeah, like it definitely, I mean, it's so weird because like I said, it holds such a special place in my heart because it makes me think of my dad. My dad just loved the
Yes.
Jaws movies. He loved this one obviously. And but it's funny because I do remember him telling me not to be afraid of sharks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think he tried to like be like, you know, this is make believe, which by the way, whenever he said that, I thought he was saying maple leaf. But anyway,
That's cute.
but it holds this like very special, tender place in my heart because of that. And I remember watching it with him and renting the movies and whatever. And it's such a good movie. I mean, I think it's one of the best movies ever made, honestly, top to bottom.
Yeah.
I just and Steven Spielberg is quoted as saying he is regretful of the damage that it caused. He regrets
Oh,
that.
yeah.
You know, like
I can't imagine you would think that your movie would have that big of an impact on like the entire, I don't know, ecosystem of this animal.
dude, I don't think they expected the movie to be good at all because of filming was such a horrific experience.
Because of all the issues they were having, especially with the actual shark.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I guess Spielberg nearly walked away from even doing the project. He wanted to go do this movie called Lady Luck with 20th Century Fox.
Okay.
But then he ended up taking it. And there was a different director initially. I believe his name was Dick Richards. So he was originally set to direct.
I'm sorry.
Um,
His name was Dick.
His name was Dick. Dick Richards, he was originally set to direct, and he's having this meeting with the producers and the studio, but he keeps referring to the shark as a whale.
Okay.
And they were like, okay, if this guy doesn't know the difference between a whale and a shark, like we got to get a different director.
That is a pretty big, yeah.
And they did. They went with Spielberg.
You know what we forgot to mention?
Mm.
It's Jaws' 50th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1975.
We did it on purpose.
We
No.
totally waited till the end to say that, but actually I do have it in my notes because I read that in I'll tell you the exact dates, but Jaws will be celebrated with a theatrical re-release in theaters. It looks like from August 29th to September 4th. Obviously, you're gonna have to
Ooh,
check
we
if
should go.
it's around us.
Oh, that's why the
Yeah,
popcorn buckets came
the
out.
popcorn
I
buckets.
want
Yeah,
one so
I want one.
bad.
Are they out already?
They're out. I think you can get it. I think you can pre-order them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to look at. Do you know which theater off the top of your head?
They're usually Regal or AMC. I think you can get from both. That's where I got my my popcorn, my art popcorn bucket.
Oh, yeah. I need to
Yeah,
look.
they
I need to
sell
look.
out. They sell it pretty quickly.
Okay. And so also there's a major exhibition called Jaws, the exhibition, at
Mm.
the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in LA, which will open on September 14th and run through July 2026.
Whoa.
Also, Universal Studios Hollywood and Florida will also have special Jaws themed merchandise, food, and other attractions. And
Can
I
we
believe
please go?
no, I'm serious. Like
I'm
I
serious.
literally texted our group chat earlier with Chelsea and Courtney Rush to say, okay, Chelsea, like
We
when
need
are
to do
you
this.
available?
Yes.
Because we need to come down to Florida.
Oh my God. Can we
But
please? I really, really want to go.
no, I'm telling you, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. I love it.
No, but I think that they already have the Jaws merchandise and stuff out at Universal.
We just need to go we really need a girls. We need to have like
We
some
need
kind
to
of girls
go.
thing.
Well, let's go to Orlando to go to get all the Jaws stuff at Universal, and then go to, like, I don't know, the middle of Florida to a cabin. We can do both different,
Oh my God. No, I love
or
it.
just fly to Tennessee after that. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll figure it out. But so a couple of like more little tidbits that I wanted to add to this. It was shot on Martha's Vineyard and they used a lot of locals, like
Mhm.
a lot of Martha's Vineyard locals. Also, I watched an interview with Lorraine Gary, who plays Ellen. And apparently Roy Scheider wasn't so nice to her.
Oh no.
So I watched it was like a panel for it was a panel. I can't remember what it was, but she was being interviewed. I think maybe inside the actor's studio or something. I can't recall, but this was pretty recent.
Mhm.
And they're just asking questions and she says they did not get along during filming.
Aw.
She's quoted as saying he was insulting and he told her that she had a big head. Like a big head next to him in the shot. Like her head looked too big.
Oh damn, I have a big ass head, so
And then I want to say, I do too. And I want to say, I listened to a podcast. I'll put these all in the show notes, but I think it was pretty tough for her. Like I don't think that he was very nice to her.
yeah. I mean, if that's her account, then yeah.
And I mean, she's like, this is how many years later, and that's one of
Right.
the first things she talked about.
Yeah.
So I would say probably wasn't great, but she was great in it, and so was he. They both were. And then there's people, I guess there's like lore that Jaws is based off of like a real story, basically. It wasn't though. Like it's not inspired by a true story, but the true story that people think it's inspired by was the New Jersey shark attacks of 1916. Did you read about this at all?
No.
So there was a series of shark attacks in New Jersey
Okay.
in 1916. The first was a guy, Charles Van Sant, who was like a dude in his 20s. He's out like having a nice time on the water with his dog, and he was attacked by a great white. And they pulled him from the water. He did not survive.
Oh shit.
Okay, then 5 days later, there was an attack in Spring Lake, New Jersey, which is about 45 miles north of the first attack. Charles Bruder was also attacked
Another
and died.
Charles?
Yes. Then on July 12th in Matawan Creek, an 11-year-old Lester Stillwell was playing on the creek 16 miles inland when the same great white attacked him. Watson Stanley Fisher attempted to save the kid, but then he was fatally injured in the process. 30 minutes after this attack, the great white attacked a fifth person, Joseph Dunn. He was bitten in the same creek as Lester Stillwell, and he survived.
In a creek?
In a creek. So at the time, like the public obviously became very, very fearful of sharks, and President Woodrow Wilson had the Treasury Secretary lead a war on sharks that included efforts by the U.S. Coast Guard and the Bureau of Fisheries to rout the sea terrors. A shark hunter named Michael Schleicher found the shark in Raritan Bay and hit it several times on the head with an oar, killing it. He gutted the shark and found human remains that were not identified, but there were no other shark attacks in New Jersey that summer. So it was not inspired by that, but a lot of people do,
I could see why they would think that that was linked. Also, that's wild though. Like,
hmm
what? Also, you killed it with an oar just by hitting it over the head. I mean, I guess if you hit it hard enough.
Yeah, if you're hitting him like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Jaws was also the first movie released in 400 theaters. And I mean, there were lineups, like similar to The Exorcist, there were lines like around the block to go see Jaws.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was just like The Exorcist in that
Yeah.
way.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've given you a lot of information.
Yes.
I will say my last thing, I swear, and then we're gonna read our top tier patrons.
Heck yeah.
Is that there is a free documentary on YouTube called Saving Jaws. It's an Ocean Ramsey documentary. She's a marine conservationist, amongst many other things. She's a huge advocate for helping to save sharks in particular.
Awesome.
So you can check that out on YouTube. We will link all of it in the show notes. I already have it all written out. And we're going to read our top tier patrons because we have a Patreon.
We do have a Patreon. And also, if you have Shudder, check out Sharksploitation. You'll learn a whole lot about how sharks have been used and abused in the entertainment industry. It's a really good documentary. Just have some tissues handy. Okay, here we go. Top tier patrons. Jonathan W, Rob V, I would like to, David T, Heather D, Franchise Driller, aka Ryan, Josh N, Millie C, Adrian G, Chris S, Alexis T, Adam VL, and James C. We thank you so much for being our top tier patrons. We appreciate you so, so much.
And thank you for checking out our YouTube at Chainsaw Girls Pod, our Instagram, our TikTok at Chainsaw Girls Pod as well. Our Gmail, chainsawgirlspod at gmail.com.
Heck yeah, if you want to send suggestions, if you want to help support the podcast, we would really love it if you give us a 5-star review. It really helps the podcast grow. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, again, it really, really helps us grow. Okay, bye.